you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day. I'll be writing things until I'm fucking buried in my grave.
Good morning. All right, let's set up some stuff here. Have this ready to play.
Hello there, you awakening wonders. Thanks for joining me for Stay Free with Russell Brand. It is a joy and a glory to be with you today as we discuss the Biden impeachment inquiry, his comments on 9/11. On Rumble exclusively, we'll be talking about Rand Paul on COVID vaccines. Obviously, we can't talk about that with you, our glorious 6.5 million awakening wonders, as much as we'd like to. So you'll have to click the link in the description and join us in the other place. On Here's the News, we'll be talking about Biden's response to 9/11. Again, another anecdote that appears a little bit dubious and masks his actual involvement with the Iraq war, and perhaps gives us a different inflection on his current perspective with ongoing conflicts. But did you know there's a new iPhone out? That's fantastic, isn't it, on Screen Assistant?
It's great news. It's great news. We all needed it, didn't we?
One thing I need is a minor amendment to my existing iPhone.
You say minor.
It's
I
extraordinary.
say major.
Obviously, the function of the mainstream media at a time when the world is being torn apart by war, when our culture is collapsing, when censorship and surveillance are on the rise, when trust in media and government are at an all-time low, is the mainstream, the legacy media, to focus on the launch of a new product, which perhaps, let's face it, is detrimental to our health. I mean, let me know in the comments, how do you feel about your device? Is it? Of course it's a miracle. It's an incredible miracle in your pocket.
It's certainly detrimental to some people's health. Those kids that go down cobalt mines.
I don't know if they're benefiting tremendously as they're mining out the old cobalt instead of, I don't know, playing jacks or stick and hoop or whatever children are supposed to be doing. Let's have a look at the mainstream media, though. They are ecstatic about this new release. Check it out.
Apple has announced a new watch and a phone at its highly anticipated event earlier. It also announced the iPhone.
They're just showing their promotional materials. The news and commerce are utterly confused, I suppose, because the news and commerce are completely intertwined. We'll be talking more about the Trusted News Initiative, the relationships between major news vendors, how they collaborate on news stories, how their fundamental relationships are with their advertisers, and how we find ourselves in a position where the launch of a product is turned into a kind of cultural event. In a way, it's revealing, because it shows you that consumerism is more than just a sort of practical modality. It is a way of life. This is sort of iPhones. They're still trying to keep it as a kind of techno Christmas, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's dreadful. I mean, it's no coincidence. Apple spent over $100 million in advertising each year. A big portion of that, I imagine, goes to CNN, hence why they're doing basically a commercial for Apple. But I think worse than that is the choices that a company like CNN make, in that they should be telling stories about Apple, that is how much they're spending on lobbying, the cobalt mines, the child labour. They're electing, they're making a decision at 7 p.m. prime time on CNN not to focus on where's all that money on lobbying going, what kind of things do they get away with through that lobbying money, the child labour, all thing, and instead focus on basically a commercial.
Their tax relationships in various territories. It's extraordinary, isn't it? It's just normal. What they would say if you were to ask, they go, oh, it's a matter of public interest.
Yes.
People love it when there's a new iPhone.
It was nice of Heather to post that on the
Discord. You've seen that shot of people are queuing for a minute, or they began lining in their hundreds at 6 a.m. The mainstream media is not conveying information to you. It is participating in ongoing hypnosis. It is facilitating further globalization, centralization, corporatization. You can imagine a news media. In fact, we are it. They'll say this. In fact, put those facts back up that has been put together by our team here at Stay Free. Apple spent over $100 million on advertising. Gareth's already told you that. In 2022, Apple ramped up its lobbying spending to record amounts, increasing its total for the year by 44%. Where is that revenue coming from? What kind of tax relationships they have? They spent over $50 million in the last decade. In 2022, tech giants face the prospect of bipartisan legislation that will be highly disruptive to their business models. Those measures ultimately never got a vote on the floor of either chamber of Congress, a fact that the bill's sponsors have blamed, at least in part, on an aggressive tech influence campaign.
Good afternoon, I guess.
I know what Nancy Pelosi and that fella Paul she's married to think about Apple as a business. It's astonishing, isn't it? How can the news give themselves that name when they convey information in this manner? Let's have a look at the rest of this propaganda.
Both looking for work?
15 and several variants of it. It's got a better camera.
Have you applied here recently?
Actually, not even that committed, is he?
He's kind of shouting a commercial at you.
What happened?
Very well.
15, there's a new carrot. Look at that. That's nice. Also, why is this guy on CNN? I don't understand. He should be doing sort of like a rural community report in pre-war.
Probably don't have to do everything.
Are advancing on this. Get your bayonets fixed. I mean,
Yes,
it's
have your IDs?
extraordinary timbre to be here in such a sort of apparently slick legacy media organisation.
Offering automatic portrait mode.
But this is what I want to know from my news. Portrait mode, is it automatic or am I going to have
See,
to
must look
manually
familiar. I'm like,
start
wait a
something?
minute.
No, you don't have to worry about that.
I know I see a lot of people,
It's
but-
automatic portrait mode. Straight into portrait mode.
I'm better, a
How's the
whole lot
war
better with
going?
faces
How's
than
that
names,
going?
though.
Are we doing anything to bring about it? No, don't worry about that. Listen, I think you're focusing on the wrong things. Portrait mode happens automatically now. What about increasing surveillance? What about like the kind of contracts that Apple have with the government? Of course, it's easy for us to talk, as we have done elsewhere this week, about Musk's intervention through Starlink, refusing to convey a military order, which is astonishing, really, because you find Elon Musk in the position of potentially preventing an escalation of a potential global apocalypse, and the government and the mainstream media condemning him. And now you see why. Look at the relationships they have with big tech. They can't believe it when one of their allies in big tech won't do their simple bidding. Because look, the mainstream media advertises their products. What's the problem? These tech companies typically accumulate data, conduct censorship, and the mainstream is happy to do their propaganda, really.
A titanium case, meaning it's lighter and stronger. The case takes apparently a long time to create.
Oh my God. I mean,
That's not
it takes a
rubbish.
long time to create that. I mean, some of the kids down the titanium mines, they're toiling there for hours.
They're 25 when they get out.
You might be a kid when you go into the titanium mine, but you will come out a man, mark my word. But it's all worth it because it comes in a spectrum of pastel colours. I'd happily send my own children down there right now, not even see them again. All their birthdays up to 22. And do you know what? I'll give them on their 22nd birthday. New iPhone. There you go. Worth the wait, wasn't it?
And one of the most consequential features is the new charging port. So
It's good. You mean we're going to have to chuck all that? They're just putting that in the news. You've got to chuck away your old one.
That's right.
When they change that thing, that jack, mate, no. I'm not happy about that. Have you still got things that adapt them
course I have.
and headphones with
Yeah,
like
I mean, I've
strings on?
basically got what he's got in his hands there.
That's what you use to
Yeah.
sort of connect to. When I see someone wearing like headphones, I should think,
Yeah.
you've not bothered to just keep up with the constant, needless, incessant march of what calls itself progress, but is metastasized consumerism. But what I actually think is, get some earpods. Like I'm basically,
part of the problem,
I'm
you are.
him. I'm basically him. I mean, I'm just like, want to advertise one? Give me one of those iPhones. I'll advertise it.
now again,
It would be great if we give you all of the wires and the cables. Like, just imagine this. If we have you pick through them, all right, no, okay, fair enough. And we'll still call it news and then go sleep in our beds at night. That's right. That's exactly what we're proposing.
you had the original, the long one. Apple
What?
pitching.
All right, the long one. That's when apples were apples.
It's a lightning port. Have I got a lightning one here? Yeah, there's a lightning one here.
He's all right. Look, we get carried away. He's probably a really beautiful human being. Isn't
Oh,
he?
yeah. Sure.
You're not committed to that. He's a beautiful human being. He deserves love. He's a child of God. He's here with us. He must be loved.
I guess it's not his fault he's doing this, is it? He probably wants to tell some proper news.
I bet he's worried sick about them kids down at Commonwealth Mine. I bet he's very curious about their tax status. I bet he's interested in lobbying people in Congress that are on big tech regulatory boards that own stocks and shares in the corporations that they're supposed to be regulating. That democracy has become a sham. That the function of the
Just take a
mainstream
picture
media
of
is
it, text it
to
to me.
support a centralized authoritarian narrative and somehow sell it to us as progress, to sell war to us as better than peace, to sell this kind of inanity. While this same quarter of the
You're
world
done.
claim that we're on the precipice of
Yep.
ecological disaster, don't they? Climate change. And again, by the way, I'm not denying that. I love this planet. I think we should do everything.
You guys
we
still
can
at the
to
same
advance our
address?
energy systems. I think we should awaken to new models. I think we should respect and love the earth and one another. And I bet our man here feels this too. But CNN claim to care about that kind of stuff, and then they dedicate their time to sort of untangling Apple
I
cables.
can't imagine any of that advertising money makes a difference there.
That would be cynical.
Very cynical.
Like, I mean, we don't get any Apple advertising money, and look at the
You're
way it's
done.
changed our reporting. It's astonishing.
Yeah. Apple is pitching its.
Do we have an interview scheduled?
For the
Did that a couple of times.
That's okay. It's just
Which of course is already
I'm
used
pretty
on
booked up
computers.
today.
Used
When
by
would you be
different companies for
available?
Standardized chargers, so that users don't end up with random
Okay.
piles.
We'll
of
try to
different
shoot for Monday then.
chargers.
Great, that's
Well,
a real
no, I won't
snake's
be here
wedding
tomorrow. I
of
won't be back
random
till Monday.
charges. Who needs all those random charges? Okay, that's an infomercial.
Well, 1
Do you
PM
remember
is
the
when I
times
generally
we used to,
start 'em,
like,
because I've
sort of
got to
channels like
cover another
QVC
office
and
right
various
around the
shopping
evening,
channels and
so.
regard them as somehow
Would
inferior.
1 PM
We
Monday
somehow
be
have an
good?
expectation
What's
of
your
media
name?
to be authentic and honest with us, to treat us like
Greg?
adults, to engage us in serious conversations about the state of our planet, the state of our individual lives, our
I'll see you,
psyches, what
Monday,
we
1
might
PM.
collectively achieve
Yeah, just
together.
make sure you bring your
now,
ID and either a
CNN,
social or a birth
prestigious
certificate, okay?
legacy news media outlet, just happily peddles for Apple and pretends that
and
it's
they
news.
want us to take them seriously. That's the joke with all of this. They think that we should take them seriously. They actually sneer at us when we don't take them
Oh
seriously.
man, do you remember when they were doing like the Joe Rogan takedown and they were sort of saying like, we have rooms full of people back there. Joe Rogan, he just turns up and speaks to people from a variety of backgrounds with incredible expertise, and people like him. Well, they shouldn't. Like, you're right. They expect our obedience. They expect our trust, but is trust in media declining? I certainly know mine is. Okay, let's have a look at this potential impeachment of Joe Biden. Let's have a look.
But the other surprise in Washington came from Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy, announcing today that he's ordering an inquiry into impeaching President Biden. The order gives House Republicans.
So I think impeachments don't really do
I know.
anything. They're always happening. I remember when we first heard it, or at least when I first heard it, it
Yeah.
was Bill Clinton. Is that when you heard it?
Of course.
Listen, there's going to be an impeachment. Oh, no. There's been so many impeachments now. I still don't know what it is. Doesn't seem to do anything at all. Basically, some people chat for a while. No one ever gets condemned. Nothing ever gets done. We're still basically living within the same system.
Sounds like politics, yeah. Good summary.
We're going to pretend to do some stuff for a while and then do nothing.
Then we're going to just accept a load of money from Apple and other companies, and
Back
then
to
we'll
the
carry
real
on.
news. You can get it in Lilac.
Is licensed to investigate the president and his family's business dealings. The White House calling the move extreme politics at its worst. McCarthy alleging corruption and abuse of power on the part of the president. But does he have the evidence and the votes? Garrett Hake starts us off tonight from Capitol Hill.
It's not real news, is it? I mean, in a sense, this is comparable to the Apple information in a sense that it's sort of held within such a sort of tight frame, so lacking in genuine inquiry. But will he have the votes? What will really happen? Basically, nothing. I suppose what this is an acknowledgement that having gone from a maligned and forbidden story, it's now just something that's being at least talked about in the mainstream. But I don't think it's going to end in any sort of significant condemnation, is it?
Who knows? I mean, I think it's, the left are very much saying that they don't have the evidence. The right are saying that we do. Who knows what will happen? We'll just see.
We're going to leave YouTube. For one thing, we're going to be talking about Rand Paul and COVID vaccines, and also then I can speak freely about Saudi Arabia and 9/11, maybe even the CIA. Allegedly. So if you're watching us on YouTube, if you're one of our 6.5 million awakening wonders, click the link in the description. Join us in the other place. If you're watching us on Rumble, give us a like, the Rumble button. To hell with that crazy little guy. Give us a like. It really helps us. And remember to subscribe and press the red button and join us in locals for the chat. Now, here is sort of some praise for Saudi Arabia in connection with 9/11. Let's break that down. Adrian,
I reported it because it wasn't even a review.
President Biden's
First, she's got a
initiative,
question.
the Partnership for Global Infrastructure. It seems auspicious that was announced on 9/11.
Yeah, I mean, there's been outcry from people who say that this is not something we already had.
Okay, that's a review.
Lying about where he was on September 12th. When he was doing that speech recently on September 11th, which was inconceivable, really, that he'd follow up a lie about Hawaii and his own house fire with another lie about where he was the day after 9/11. Absolutely incredible. And now the White House has released this on 9/11 also, praising Saudi Arabia.
I like that he said he was at ground zero. I was at ground zero with the victims. Or were you actually pushing for a subsequently proven to be irrelevant and unnecessary and unhelpful war in Iraq? Oh, no, yeah, I remember now.
Yes.
That's like saying, where were you? I was just a dog. In fact, you were strangling a dog in an alleyway.
Yep.
Here's the sort of opposite of that. Yes, I mean, of course. I mean, are you allowed to talk about?
Well, I assume Google itself, Google's going to recognize that they just
it's so difficult, isn't it? You sort of like, there's in the news that you watch on the TV, and then there's like, look, we understand now that Saudi Arabia was significantly involved in 9/11, in so much as many of the hijackers were from Saudi Arabia, that Saudi Arabian royals were rushed out of the United States on that day, that there were curious relationships between the Saudi Arabian royal family and the Bush family. Now we know that some of those hijackers have been recruited by the CIA.
Yep.
That's is that Kit Klamberg's report.
Klamberg from the Grey Zone. Yeah.
So there's some extraordinary information available, and what do you get from the mainstream, whether it's online or on TV? You get sort of puff pieces about initiatives, infrastructure initiatives. Absolutely astonishing. From one not conspiracy theory to another, JFK, a Secret Service agent, has broken his silence on the JFK assassination.
Based from the Google page.
We are about to talk to a former Secret Service agent with
No, but that's based from somebody just searching the name
we
and
know
then
happened on the
that
day President John F. Kennedy was assassinated. It is a confession.
I can't watch this in the same way since we've become friends with Bobby Kennedy. Like to see, I used to just watch this as pure sort of spectacle, as an evident example of obvious corruption, of what happens if people step out of line. My main reference would have been like Oliver Stone's movie. It's an early entry point into many of our understanding that you can't trust the state. Now I sort of think, I've sort of got ideas of him being like a little kid and like he's losing his uncle and his father and stuff. It's interesting. It changes it.
And he says he is making, after 60 years of silence, all about a single bullet he found in the back of that convertible.
60 years after one of the most earth-shattering days in modern American history, when President John F. Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas in 1963.
President John F. Kennedy died at approximately 1 o'clock Central Standard Time.
Former Secret Service agent Paul Landis, who was with the president that day, is opening up for the first time about what he witnessed. For decades, the prevailing theory was that one bullet struck JFK and then hit Texas Governor John Connally, who was sitting in front of him. It became known as the magic bullet theory, which explained how one shooter could have fired all the shots. The theory is based on this bullet being found on Governor Connally's gurney at the hospital. But now in a new book, Landis says he knows how it got there. The 88-year-old tells the New York Times he found that bullet lodged in the car seat behind where Kennedy was killed. He says he then took...
Wow. So that, I mean, that theory anyway, to see that theory disparaged or discredited shouldn't come as a tremendous shock, should it? Given that it was contingent upon a bullet bouncing around several times, passing through various people, pinging about on some crazy little assassination jolly. And the fact that it was wedged in the seat and was placed there just demonstrates plainly that it was demonstrably untrue at the time.
Conspiracy theories. I mean, Oliver Stone himself, the amount of flack he's received personally about his film. People at the time were kind of saying, "Oh, it's hardly entertaining, but it's not plausible and it's ridiculous," and that he's a conspiracy theorist. It's another one of those things. Like then stuff starts to come out, and you're like, "Oh, I don't think he was a conspiracy theorist." Actually, I mean, it kind of rings true with what's happening in society at the moment, doesn't it?
Happens again and again and again. First, there's this huge discrediting, and then no, sorry about that. We were lying. We killed him allegedly, for heaven's sake. Hey, let us know what you lot think in the comments. Press the red button if you want to join us in Locals and become a member of our community. Now, our exclusive Rumble story is Rand Paul about the risks of the vaccine outweigh the risk of the disease. Now that's astonishing, and it's also we're looking at that commensurately with something from the British media. Andrew Bridgen released a video claiming the Pfizer vaccine used in clinical trials was different to the one rolled out across the world. But first of all, let's look at Rand Paul. I mean, I guess this is where the rubber meets the road. After all of this perambulation, all of this analysis, the muddling, the condemnation, the climbing back from condemning Joe Rogan on CNN, shaming people for not wanting to get vaccines, saying that it was beneficial to other people and the kind of civic responsibility to acknowledging it wasn't, to potentially it's worse for you than the disease. The cure is worse than the disease. I mean, have we finally arrived at that point? And will the mainstream media allow that conclusion to be successfully reached? Will the system be able to accommodate a truth that heavy? Because Moderna is still sort of sponsoring Novak Djokovic, like extraordinarily by proxy, with that mad shot of the day. Did you guys see that? It's bloody ridiculous. Let's have a look at what Senator Rand Paul's got to say.
Because the risks of the vaccine outweigh the risks of the disease. This really encapsulates the debate here. Your health care is about you. You're not a statistic. The Democrats somehow feel you are a cog in their wheel, and you're just supposed to do what everybody does and do as you say.
There you are. That's really curious to see that that's now being publicly said. Imagine that on day one of the pandemic, or with the rollout, that enthusiastic rollout. I shudder to think about the freight, the amount, the cargo of propaganda, the glibness, the certainty, the condemnation. It was such an extraordinary epochal time, already being repackaged, already being somehow passed into some space of cultural Alzheimer's. Remember, we don't talk much about Andrew Bridgen, who was criticised from the House of Parliament in our country for essentially, I believe, criticising the vaccine. I don't want to reprise what he said that caused so much ire. But now he is saying, Andrew Bridgen is claiming the Pfizer vaccine used in clinical trials was a different vaccine to the one rolled out across the world. Let's have a look.
Of August this year, I wrote to Prime Minister Rishi Sunak with evidence that I'd received from Dr. Josh Guchko of the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, which indicated that Pfizer had been enabled by the MHRA, the Medicines and Healthcare Product Regulatory Agency in the UK, to carry out a bait-and-switch operation with their vaccine, which meant that the Pfizer vaccine that was tested on 22,000 individuals with 22,000 in a placebo group was not the same vaccine that was rolled out in the UK and around the world. The compelling evidence for this is the fact that on the second day of mass vaccination in the UK, the MHRA changed the guidelines and told people they had to stay at the vaccination centre for 15 minutes after vaccination. The reason for this remaining at the vaccination centre was the risk of anaphylactic shock. The MHRA hadn't expected anaphylactic shock because it wasn't shown in the Pfizer trials. You only get anaphylactic shock when there are endotoxins in the vaccines. You only get endotoxins in the vaccines when they've been cultured up in bacteria such as Escherichia coli. That demonstrated that the vaccine that was rolled out around the world was not manufactured in the same way or to the same standards as that vaccine that they've got medical approval for.
And that dude's had to make himself such an expert on vaccines, understands the kind of cultures that you have to grow them in. It's
still the same address on your ID.
Example of peculiarity with regard to the ongoing pandemic narrative. Let me know in the comments if you agree.
The main question is though, why has no one mentioned how many
you just applied back
tested on?
How many mouses did you test it on? There must have been 9 or as many as 12 mouses that have tried that. So what, like they did, it sounds like they did a trial on 22,000 people, a placebo trial on 22,000 people, and then it is being alleged here, used a different and distinct vaccine. Extraordinary allegation there. Let us know what you think about that. Hey, you can come see me in Plymouth if you're in the UK on the 22nd of September. September and Wolverhampton on September the 28th. Both of those events are to raise money for a couple of treatment centres that I wouldn't ask to say I support, that you support, because it's your money, actually. So if you're interested in coming to those, have a look, come along. It'd be lovely to see you. Now, Joe Biden, as you know, went to Maui and claimed that his house fire was in some way comparable to their incredible suffering. He's now just told another extraordinary story about his actions on September the 12th that seem to go beyond hypocrisy. So we have a look at the nature of Joe Biden, the truth, and war. Here's the news? No, here's the effing news.
PDF.
Joe Biden, after consoling Hawaiians with his liar, liar, house on fire lie, has now tried to claim that on September the 12th, he was at ground zero, sticking up for those brave Americans that suffered those assaults and that onslaught. When in fact, what he was doing on September the 12th was advocating for a war in Iraq. There was a complete, made-up, fiasco lie. Liar, liar, house on fire, not just the house, maybe the whole world. We talked, didn't we, about Joe Biden going off to Hawaii and saying, oh, you know, I know what it's like to have your whole country devastated by fires, because there was a time where one room of my house briefly caught fire and gave me the opportunity to potentially get some nice new stuff. Wink, wink. I almost lost my Chevy 67 and my cat. He scoffed to the devastated people of Maui.
I almost lost my wife, my 67 Corvette, and my cat.
Well, now Joe Biden has claimed that on September the 12th, he was one of the almost the first responder, almost rushing up the stairwells of the North Tower, when in fact, after the horrific attacks of September the 11th, what Joe Biden was actually doing was advocating for attacks on Iraq, which retrospectively were a waste of time and made things a hell of a lot worse. How like him?
I join you on this solemn day
To tell some little old lies.
to renew our sacred vow. Never forget. Never forget.
It's a bit rich coming from you, mate. I don't think you're going to get to the end of this sentence, are you? Never forget. Never fulfill. Never laptop to the... Wait, what was I saying?
We never forget.
Joe Biden's catchphrase should not be never forget. Joe Biden's catchphrase would be, I do sometimes forget.
Each of us, each of those precious lives stolen too soon when evil attacked.
That rhetoric is much too similar to the George W. Bush rhetoric. That
Dustin, I have a copy of your Social Security
on the
card, so we're
neoliberal
good.
establishment for being too simplistic and reductive. Evil, all that kind of stuff, you know? Like, aren't we ready for a different type of perspective? What new is this person offering when it comes to international diplomacy, geopolitics, new world solutions, organizing democracy differently? It was evil. Like, of course, the bombing of the Twin Towers was evil, but there's no review of what took place after those events, whether the subsequent war was illegal, immoral, and wrong, and how that pertains to current conflicts. They can't give you that because essentially the same administration or the same sets of interests are still governing America right now. Joe Biden, who's about to claim that he spent September the 12th clearing up rubble, was actually advocating for the invasion of Iraq on September the 12th. So ultimately what you're able to witness is, in spite of the fluctuations and the mad static that takes place in the mainstream, the kind of political thing
Remy, I'm gonna have to get on the computer first.
continue with the war machine. Except, let us know in the comments if anyone's outside of that, you crazy kids.
Ground Zero in New York. And I remember standing there the next day and looking at the building. I felt like I was looking through the gates of hell. It looked so devastating.
That's such a mad thing to say if it's not true. I was like looking through the gates of hell at the devastation. Were you even there? No, I was actually advocating for creating more war and mayhem in Iraq.
Because from where you could stand.
What, you can see all that from Washington, where you were advocating for invading Iraq? Yeah, I got really good eyes. I did then. And plus, I never forget. I never, ever forgo.
Shanksville, Pennsylvania.
I'm viewing from over here, so I might be able to guide you through this.
I spent many 9/11s in those hallowed grounds to bear witness and remember those we lost. Every day, but especially the last few days, they're with me.
I set up a temporary login for you,
on
so
Monday to commemorate the 22nd
if you
anniversary of the 9/11
reset the
attack,
password to
President
what
Joe
you want
Biden
it,
told
but
service
this
members,
is your
first
user
responders, and
ID,
their families
just
that he
your first
visited
name,
Ground Zero the
last
day
name.
after September 11 attacks that killed nearly 3,000 Americans. Ground Zero in New York, he remarked. I remember standing there the next day and looking at the building. I felt like I was looking through the gates of hell. It looked so devastating from where you could stand. I suppose what their defense was, oh, he was there a few days later or a week later or whatever it is. But in a sense, what you have is just a series of events where Joe Biden has offered up anecdotes about how he was approximate to suffering and disaster, where in one case it was a small fire, and in the next case it's a big liar because he was actually exacerbating.
Yaga, did we ever get a copy of your social or your birth
Despite what he said,
certificate?
Joe Biden, who was then chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, did not visit Ground Zero on September 12, 2001. He was in Washington that day, participating in a Senate session to consider a joint resolution condemning the attacks, which passed unanimously. Bit of a waste of time. Should we condemn these attacks? Yes, they were bad. They were bad. Another great day's work.
Do you think you could take a picture of one of them and send it to me?
Mr. President,
As well as,
this is a
with your
time
paper that you
for
sent you
not
your
to
updated
despair.
stuff?
A time for resolve, but not remorse.
All right.
A time for sober investigation and no recrimination.
Instead, Biden appeared on WNET's Charlie Rose via satellite from Washington for a segment discussing the international and congressional response to the attacks, a fact identified yesterday by National Review's Noah Rothman. In reality, Biden did not visit the site until 9 days later on September the 20th as part of a delegation of fellow senators. This is not the first time that Biden has been caught embellishing details of his own life experience, and similar incidents relating to a 2004 house fire and a supposed arrest while trying to meet Nelson Mandela in South Africa have drawn criticism in recent years. Yeah, I was going over there to meet Nelson Mandela. Got myself arrested. Still met Nelson, though. I remember looking at him thinking, it's like the gates of hell. No, wait, that's the other one. He did it 3 times in a single speech last month, falsely claiming to have witnessed a bridge collapse in Pittsburgh in 2022. He actually visited the site more than 6 hours after the collapse, falsely claiming his grandfather had died just days prior to his own birth at the same hospital. His paternal grandfather died more than a year prior in another state. Died just a day before, same hospital. It's a circle of life. It was a year before in another hospital. It's a circle of life, just a bigger circle. Never ever forget. And again, repeating a long debunked false story about a supposed conversation with an Amtrak conductor who was deceased at the time the story would have had to take place. No, I was talking to an Amtrak striker, quiet guy, quiet and decaying slowly on a mortuary slab. I liked him. In 2021 and 2022, he falsely claimed to be arrested during civil rights protests. Nearly then officer had taken him home from a protest. Falsely claimed he used to drive an 18-wheeler, the White House was driving a different vehicle, a school bus. Falsely claimed to have visited the Pittsburgh synagogue where worshippers were killed in a 2018 mass shooting. He had spoken to his rabbi by phone, but not gone. Falsely claimed to have visited Iraq and Afghanistan as president. He made repeated visits as a senator and vice president, but not as president. In a sense, either Joe Biden's a bit of a fibber, or he sort of can't really remember. I think both of those challenges, in a sense, are a problem when you consider that he could be president for another 6 years. We make this content in collaboration with our fantastic sponsors. Here's one now. Please stay to the end. I'm going to try and make it amusing for you. Never mind these hypocritical, corrupt propagandist wars. They're getting on my nerves and they're bringing me down. You know, cheer me up. Stickers, delicious stickers, unique, wonderful, glorious stickers made by Sticker Mule, our sponsor today. We've teamed up with them to create this limited edition sticker pack. There are 6 rather stunning designs. Oh, look at that one. I recognise this little guy. And look at that one. That's presumably the Sticker Mule himself. It's an honour to meet you, sir. They're all made with Sticker Mule's magic touch. Sticker Mule has 10,000 of these packs. That's right, 10,000 ready to deliver to your address absolutely free. Just go to stickermule.com/Russell and fill out the form. That's all you got to do. Now let's go back to this horrific, terrible, unnecessary, dreadful, bloody war that can't be won because Russia are a serious country that will not stop. Maybe we could offer them some stickers. Maybe that'll cheer them up. Putin, would you like this crow? Would that put a smile on your face? Joe Biden, do you know who this is? I don't know, Hunter. Sticker Mule. Get yourself some stickers. They're free. Just go to stickermule.com/Russell and fill out the form. Now let's get back to this dreadful, unnecessary, unwinnable war. He told a false story involving a late relative and the Purple Heart and falsely described his interactions decades ago with late Israeli Prime Minister Golda Meir. No wonder he's so confused all the time. He's living simultaneous lives. He's visiting places. People are being born. He's having conversations with their bodies. It's like Forrest Gump, really.
You know, it's funny how you remember some things, but some things you can't.
So, of course, those are rather frivolous lies, but it's worth mentioning that one of the main attacks that the Democrat Party establishment has towards Donald Trump is that he's a liar, that he doesn't tell the truth all the time, and it just seems that, of course, they will say that Trump's lies are worse or whatever, and those of you who adore Donald Trump, but plainly, Joe Biden is a person that has his own challenges with the truth, some of which are pretty frivolous and amusing, like some of the ones we just listed, but one of his more serious lies is his attempt to distance himself from the events that led to the invasion of Iraq, which was illegal.
So what do you do
he has a
here
different
is
perspective on Joe Biden's involvement in that terrible conflict. The Iraq War vote is part of the extensive record Biden cites, and he has struggled to accurately account for it, repeatedly suggesting he opposed the war and Mr. Bush's conduct from the beginning. Claims that detailed fact-checkers have deemed wrong or misleading. Biden didn't just vote for the war, he was a leading Democratic voice in its favour and played an important role in persuading the public of its necessity, and more broadly, laying the groundwork for Bush's invasion. So it seems like he was a key instigator, collaborator, supporter. Now that it's no longer convenient to acknowledge that role, he claims that he opposed the war. I think this becomes relevant because continually comparisons are made between the invasion of Iraq, or the 2 wars with Iraq, and the ongoing proxy war now. Many people saying that all that's really changed is there's a more refined and deceptive model when it comes to foreign military action, but the intentions remain the same. America is willing to go to war for corporate globalist interests, always claiming it's for humanitarian reasons or for some righteous crusade. And Joe Biden, in spite of claiming to be on one side of history, quite plainly is on the other. As President Bush attempted to sell the US public on the war, Biden became one of the administration's steadfast allies in this cause, backing claims about the supposed threat posed by Iraqi leader Saddam Hussein and insisting on the necessity of removing him from power. Count me in the 90%, Biden said in the weeks after the attack. There is total cohesion, he said, between Democrats and Republicans in the challenges ahead. There is no daylight between us. Wow, that's a pretty significant statement, and one that supports a growing belief that what you have in America is a kind of war machine that requires continual international conflict in order to sustain itself, and then it needs to find new sophistry to justify ongoing wars. This is a humanitarian war. They've got weapons of mass destruction. We're not even in this war. What do you want to happen? Putin's a criminal. That machine machine has to be maintained at all costs. And it seems that Joe Biden, whether it's the Iraq war or this current war, is very firmly entrenched in that mentality, which is beyond partisan politics because it's very difficult to disrupt or derail that machine. That machine is motoring forward and probably will do anything it needs to prevent its agenda being opposed. There's no daylight between the Democrats and Republicans. What if you were against that war, which, in retrospect, you would have been absolutely right to oppose? Many people did oppose it. This is nothing to do with Iraq. What are we invading Iraq for? They're not involved. It's much more to do with other countries. I probably still can't even say on YouTube. Allegations that there was deep state involvement. Even like there's so much to go into here. But look at what actually happened. No daylight between them. Both parties aligned in their agenda towards war. You had no choice. There's nothing you could have done. You can protest. You can complain about it. What did they also do during that time? Increased surveillance, increased censorship through the Patriot Act, for you patriots out there, which gave them a further ability to control you that has led to very little successful action or preventative measures against terror. Do you see how crises are used in order to create more authority and more ability for centralized authority to control the population, whether it's through big tech, whether it's through military action, whether it's through surveillance, whether it's through an ability to lock you in your home? Whatever crisis comes about, and I'm not saying the crises aren't real, 9/11 really happened, plainly. Coronavirus really happened, plainly. Wars plainly really happened. But what is the response? What is the intention of the response? Is it humanitarian or is it profit and dominion and a unipolar agenda that seems to be being pursued aggressively to this day, with Joe Biden involved then as he was now and still lying about it, sometimes admittedly quite humanly? The Iraq War has generally been seen as one of the worst US foreign policy
I'll come grab that from you guys.
It fueled the spread of terrorism and destabilized the Middle East and parts of North Africa. ISIL is a direct outgrowth of Al-Qaeda in Iraq that grew out of our invasion, noted President Obama. We did a story about his involvement in American foreign policy. You should have a look at that as well. More than 4,500 US soldiers and nearly as many US military contractors lost their lives. Tens and thousands were wounded, with hundreds of thousands more suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. Estimates of Iraqi deaths run as high as 1 million. Bear those ideas in mind when you hear with regard to the current conflict that America is supporting, that America are getting their money's worth because Ukrainians are dying for just 3% of the American military budget. All that's happening is this war machine is able to amend and adjust in order to continue.
Let me take
It seems that many policies
where's his other names? Put N/A.
ways of masking
For some reason, something has to be in that blank.
thrusting through history, profiting the powerful, ignoring ordinary people, dividing us through rhetoric, and claiming that it's a humanitarian enterprise. At the very least, Biden should explain why he played such a major role in winning the authorization from Congress for President Bush to wage this disastrous war. So it appears that Joe Biden has always, throughout his career, been engaged in the politics of war, making war seem necessary, humane, a response to an egregious terror attack, necessary support in a humanitarian conflict against a wild, tyrannical aggressor. Joe Biden appears to be advocating for something other than the American people. And if you ask me, something other than the truth. And whether or not these sort of casual, anecdotal indiscrepancies are significant or not is for you to decide for yourself. Perhaps it isn't that significant. But what it is an indicator of is that you have a government that does not advocate for you, that does not represent you, that has an agenda that is way beyond anything that might interest or improve your life. Big Pharma bill coming through. Not really. It won't affect Big Pharma. War coming through that you're paying for. Massive disaster in Hawaii. Irrelevant packages of aid. Ultimately, when it comes to the important issues, there's no daylight at all between the Republicans and the Democrats because they are both living in darkness, lit up only by missiles, war, and
3 o'clock. We should be done here hopefully by 2:30 at the most.
War as an economic model. A president that casually lies
I'll have you on the
while
computer
his chief
next,
opponent
okay?
is persecuted and pursued. In many instances, because he's declared to be a liar.
Oh,
what an extraordinary world we live in. Thankfully, football's not like that. Football is nice. And football remains nice even when there's a break in the EPL, which is what I primarily follow. Gareth, of course, likes the Championship because that's where Hull City find themselves and may yet remain. We've had some fantastic football stories going on this week. Firstly, Messi still might get Ballon d'Or in spite of the fact that he's playing in America. Has that ever happened before? Someone playing...
No, it won't have done, surely.
Would have been only people playing in major European leagues, I would have thought, wouldn't it? And it's usually Lionel Messi, wherever he plays. Where's Lionel Messi play? Well, he's the best. Give it to him. That's a really interesting story we're looking at. We're also going to be looking at that YouTube football match. I saw it, and I couldn't make visual sense of it. And I actually couldn't identify the stadium, even though it's the home ground of the team that I support, West Ham United. It was just it's sort of jarring and startling to see the sidemen there, YouTube sensations, playing a YouTube all-star team to raise money for various good causes. I couldn't get my, because whenever you see like a charity match of any description, even when it's quite high profile, ex-pros or even current pros, like in some sort of friendly context, the crowd crowd looks different and is often not full. This thing was like they've just invented a new sport. I mean, I suppose this is off the back of those kind of Logan Paul boxing matches. It's now the criteria of excellence is no longer required. And this is not criticism, it's a charity-raising endeavour. And I'm not be like some sort of old stick in the mud that I know shouldn't be allowed to do. Of course they should be allowed to do. They should be able to do whatever they want. I'm just looking at the idea of merit.
Don't worry about the license number. Versus, are you an employee? Put yes, and then just put today's date.
Because that's what sport, because I suppose sport comes from things like the Olympics, where it's literally about excellence. These are the very fittest finds, but now it's about something else. It's become about something else. You watch it, didn't you?
New models. I think it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, we've talked about like Sound of Freedom before, and the way in which Sound of Freedom came to make more money than Indiana Jones at the box office.
That's true. I think, and maybe even Mission Impossible. Like
it's incredible.
You just have to put a number in there. If you just want to claim yourself, just put a 1. If you want to claim anything,
and it's the same for these guys. I mean, obviously, amazing what Logan Paul and his brother have done, but this was astonishing. I watched it, and the production value was incredible. Like it was like watching a Champions League game, not even a Premier League game. It was absolutely, they pulled out all the stops. It was really amazing.
There's so much wealth and revenue. In a sense,
where it says pending review, it just means I have to do my portion, so you're good.
Vanguard entertainers, particularly, I mean, suppose the ones I've heard of, like Mr. Beast and KSI there.
It was so mad to see Mr. Beast, actually, because obviously it's in England,
there for a second,
and he wasn't anywhere near as prominent as you would think he would. Because obviously Mr. Beast in the YouTube world is Mr. YouTube, isn't he? He's astonishingly massive on there. In this game, he was just one of the many players. It was like, oh, there he is.
Did you know who many of them were?
I knew a few. I mean, I know the sidemen, but I didn't know everyone.
How do you equate a phenomena like this, or not equate, contrast and compare this phenomena with the sort of the appearing changes in the kind of upper echelons of, say, for example, Hollywood? Like, so now the most major Hollywood star, is it like sort of someone like TV Chalamet or whatever? Like, you think like in the 80s or 90s, it's like Arnie, size like Bruce Willis, Demi Moore. Like, there's all these sort of like, these are what stars are. As media diversifies and changes, it's like these people are more famous than any movie star.
Certainly to a certain generation they are.
Yeah. And like, other than KSI and Mr. Beast, I mean, the other 4 lads, I don't know if they're English, I don't know like where they're from.
They're a mixture,
Amazing, I suppose, because some of them are YouTube all-stars and some of them are like from Sidemen, like the other lad. Like, I mean, it's extraordinary the way that technology alters the world. Have we got any of it? Have we got any like footage from it? I saw a little bit of it, and like you say, it shows that sort of the start of the game, sort of most relevant. Someone's getting a yellow card. Let's have a look at this little bit.
Wowzers, trousers. Yellow card. The yellow reverse. He's going to reverse it. That's the first.
This is meta modernity, because now, like, it's something that I think all of us think about with sport is that you have to enter into a consensus to enjoy it. Like, if you're watching it from a sort of, what do I want to say, a kind of truly objective perspective, you pick the ball up and run it into the net, or like there's, like to see that kind of odd meta modern moment where someone gives a card to the referee. Also to see
Max Fosh, I think that was.
What's it?
Max Fosh, who he ran for London Med, didn't he, last year?
Oh, there's an interesting concept. Like Max Fosh there, like Max Fosh giving a card back to the referee, and the referee sort of gamely recognising that his authority is subverted. I'm going to offer you now that this is sort of a cultural artifact that demonstrates a changing and shifting paradigm. Firstly, there's a new set of stars, YouTube all-stars and sidemen. Football no longer needs to be based on, as long as you said earlier, if the ephemera is still there, like the car bringing out the ball and the full crowd, and all that stuff, it sort of seems as spectacular as anything else. It's almost like some kind of mass pornographization could take place, where you could just go, let's get celebrities, you know, something that used to be like an MTV show, like MTV Celebrity Deathmatch or whatever. You sort of could have that now. You could sort of have that. There's something sort of like this. I'm not saying it's nihilistic. I think it's like a new context.
Yeah. I mean, what's amazing is what you were saying before about these guys are, you know, bigger than movie stars now, and I think definitely to a certain audience they are. Imagine if you'd had a movie when we were young, where you could literally get 40 of your favourite movie stars and put them all in one movie. I mean, that's essentially what's happening. Is people are going to watch this and filling stadiums because they're seeing all their favourite YouTube stars in one place. It must be, and doing something that, you know, must feel a bit exciting as well. And
it must be bloody brilliant. My kids watch someone called Salish and Jordan. Like Jordan is her dad who makes the shows, and Salish is this young kid, and it's just her getting on with stuff. And I mean, like, it's pretty amazing the way even things like the product placements, the graphics, everything is so sort of slick, so much faster. It's like because the evolution from, say, radio to television is plainly sensually different. You sort of think, okay, well, obviously that's going to outdate, outmode, and outstrip its predecessor. But this is still like you're looking at stuff, but it has a different mentality to it. It has a different vibe. It has something about it, the speed that it moves at, the casualness. Like other stuff seems stilted and odd, and like it's not moving at the right pace. Like when you watch something else, it seems like it's too full of artifice and lacking in authenticity. Like, and there is something philosophically happening when like gives a card. And it's sort of like mucking around now. I'm not trying to jizz all over this sort of thing. That's only it's a bit of fun. But I'm just saying.
No, I agree with you.
Melting.
I think you're right. There was like moments where KSI was getting interviewed. He was in goal because obviously like he's I think preparing for a fight, so like they didn't want him to like get injured or anything. So he was in goal, and like every so often the kid who was doing the interviews would interview him just next to his during the game.
Why not?
There you go. And I was watching it thinking exactly that. And these are the things that obviously football will evolve, and what in a way they're ahead of the curve. They're creating new formats that almost inevitably you would think football will embrace at some point.
Mr. Beast, what I've always thought about him is he's someone that just sort of goes, yeah, that'd be good. Like, I mean, I'm not diminishing his obvious incredible set of skills and industry that's gone into it, but he thinks in like a producer, like would have done in TV 20 years ago. That's what I think like Chris Evans, British TV personality, like and. Now you have the possibility that football will be kind of forced to go, oh my God, people like that. Because I always thought it would be driven, and I suppose it will, by finance and commerce. When they do things like introducing VAR, I'm like, oh, that's going to, I always thought they'll put adverts on while decisions are being made. It will, like, that's how it will be leveraged. But now it seems like it might somehow be influenced culturally rather, and I suppose culture and finance, perhaps to a degree, they're sort of indistinguishable and it can't be separated. But that's mad. And now, like, because why not instead of when you go a yellow card or a sending off, we're going to release a tiger onto the pitch. Oh, yeah, cool. Like when you because the world is sort of, I can't, in a sense, I think it's sort of beautiful because it's evolution, but in another sense, I do think it's end times indicators. Like when you see Messi's bodyguard running down the pitch at the side of it, it shows you that it's changed. It's changed. And you're the person that sort of always observed that football's robustness, its power, like something great like Shakespeare, can withstand messing with it. It's so sort of powerful that, as you said, you can put it in Qatar, you do all these things, and you're still like, oh my God, it's amazing. There's anything wrong with putting it in Qatar, but you perhaps are aware of the controversy and stuff that went on at that time. And now it's like, oh my God, you ain't seen nothing yet.
It's really interesting because you go, well, how powerful is this game? And maybe all games, maybe all sport. But like, I was watching this, and obviously the level of quality is way below a professional football match. But when you, but then also there's a range of
to raise the vitamin content of the food.
Man, it's actually really good. And so when he scores a really good,
so that's why people question their own weight. This is too silly.
Expectation, so you're now watching something when a moment of quality pops up. It is entertaining.
You actually felt
excitement. Oh, pretty well done, mate.
Yeah, I suppose you would. Like if you start watching a game at a park or something like that. You can say, oh, I'm into this now.
You know what we need to do, don't you? Rumble All Stars.
Rumble All Stars.
Yes.
I'm not comfortable playing football at a level that has stars.
It's all the Americans. They're not going to be able to play football, Ross. You'll finally be the best player on the pitch.
Can we play just against American children? If we play against American children,
I'm not sure actually that's because they play a lot of soccer, don't they? The kids play soccer.
They'll be good.
It's the adults that you want to play. It's the crowders.
The elderly, the vulnerable. Bring us your sick. That's what it is. It's the message at the bottom of Statue of Liberty. Bring us your dispossessed, your ravaged, your poor, your sick, your broken.
It's the one about the boots. You don't want to wear the boots.
Drunk, falling over, and play the Rumble All Stars.
We want to play Glenn Greenwald.
For the football, Glenn. That's all right. I'm up for that.
Okay.
And perhaps a couple of his dogs versus us.
Sure.
And our dog. Let's do it. Also, over in the world
of
football, Postecoglou, Spurs' new beloved manager, had a song sung about him first by their fans, then by Robbie, but now we commented
on large groups I've had.
Spurs fans
I've had one or nobody all this week, and
like
today I get 5.
I never saw that. That's
six.
cool.
Another one showed
They are thanking us for commenting on because we sort of said who come up with it.
Yeah, we liked it. We liked the lyrics. Christian Gross, we were very into that.
Yeah, you pointed out that it was a sort of a third and a button and all that kind of stuff. That's pretty good. Let's see what's going on with Saudi radically shifting away to politically neutral areas of the game. Let's see what is that all Saudi Arabia's? Look at the Saudi Arabia All Stars. Could they beat the Sidemen? I mean, look at them. I heard the guest of Football is Nice and friend Simon Jordan say he could give you an argument for why each and every one of them, in one way or another, is sort of past it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he did sort of say that, more or less. I hope I'm not oversimplifying it. But, I mean,
I don't think that's true in all cases.
Who would you say?
There was that Kessie, who's left Barcelona. I was looking at some of the ages of some of them, and I think Kessie's like 26. Like some of them are mid-20s and have come from teams like Lazio,
I don't think he just
Barcelona.
meant aged.
Okay.
I reckon he said, like, say for example, Sam Maximan.
Yeah.
Right, brilliant footballer.
Sure.
Probably not 30.
Yeah.
But look at what's going on at Newcastle.
Yeah.
Newcastle
Yeah.
are sort of transitioning into a better side. And look at Riyad Mahrez. Like, I think they want more like Arabic and Muslim players, isn't it? That's why the prize to get is Mo Salah.
I think it's a good point. And I think
It's Karim Benzema. I think he's
Yeah, it's both.
N'Golo Kante. I don't know if I'm getting into the
Yeah, Argentina
culture
is a free
gives it some sort of
facility.
weight in Saudi Arabia.
But I think you can probably also form an argument for why none of them were kind of elite players at the top of their game necessarily.
Yeah, it's not like Haaland.
Exactly.
Like that's
that's why Salah wouldn't have. It would have been an anomaly to an extent.
To an extent.
Yeah.
And also, like maybe this is just our kind of, what do you want to call it, Occidentalism, just our sort of perspective is like anyone, but like, because I used to think that when say David Platt or Gaza or or Mark Hughes, Lineker, when English or British players went from our league to Spain or Italy, I thought they've gone somewhere better.
Yeah,
that was the sort of assumption, wasn't it? And that was when we were growing up, Italy, the Italian league is still the Italian national team, but the Italian league better than the Premier League, the Spanish league better. And then it was us probably, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe you'd say like we were sort of generally better than German and French.
Yeah,
but like we regarded them like because of teams like AC Milan with like the Rijkaards and the
so I think you're right. And I think there is a distinction between the players that have gone to Saudi and, for example, Jude Bellingham going to Real Madrid. Jude Bellingham, someone who is peak. Within his career at the moment, his age, his abilities, what he's doing at Madrid. I mean, he is on fire at Madrid.
Yeah, he's going to got 5 or something.
He's absolutely started the season incredibly, and so I guess luckily, Jude Bellingham's gone to an established footballing, I don't know, nation and team. It's difficult, isn't it? It's difficult. I don't want to kind of sound dismissive.
Animal feed container.
Firstly, because like here are things that definitely Occidentalism and just a lack of familiarity. I'm not yet sure what all of the different teams are, but that is now enough. That if you saw, a match between the one that Ronaldo's in and the one that Neymar's in, you're like, I'm going to watch that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So sort of interesting enough.
Raw products goes on a pallet with a slip sheet.
Is that there's a point where if they want to participate in the Champions League, which isn't impossible on the, there's no reason why it has to be Europe because Turkey isn't sort of conventionally Europe. And again, do you know what? You end up having quite important cultural conversations because when you're talking about Europe, sometimes when you're talking, are you talking about whiteness? Are you talking about Christianity? What are you actually talking about? What are you actually talking about when you say Europe? I mean, I know it's a recognised concept, but it's extraordinary. So what are you talking about when you say Western? Because sometimes when you say Western, you mean Australia.
Right here in front of me or this.
Oh, right. What I mean is sort of North European.
It's both. It's both.
Post-colonial, it's a bit of a mouthful. So like, I can see why you would say Western, but like, it's reached the really.
Well, anyway, they'd find a way if the Champions League needed to be rebranded to include Saudi Arabia.
They would, but as he points out, then they would be subject to financial fair play, and at that point, this model falls apart because no one's going to go there, presumably. Out when they could be in Paris or Barcelona, but then again, you have to start asking questions of yourself, don't you? So that's what I think started to happen around Qatar. Like it's an odd consequence of globalism, and that you now start to have to look at how you culturally categorize things. And in the end, true globalism, i.e., we have a perspective of the world.
The reason I did that is
no slavery, no little children going down mines, a true understanding of a kind of parity and equality of the world's people, fairness. I mean, like the world will not be able to accommodate.
Say a word when you do.
The sort of presumed ideology because there's still too much mass exploitation, corruption, monetization. Is it in a way? It's a sort of I like it as a circus because I enjoy spectacle. We all do, don't we?
Yeah, it is. It's an and it raises some very interesting conversations at the moment. The situation with Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, because it's not all just because my first reaction is they should be allowed to do that. That's and that's sort of when you examine it, it's like, well, why not? Why the hell not? Hey, the Ballon d'Or is probably going to be won by Messi, but Julian Alvarez of City, is he being nominated this year? The nomination's out for it. Has Haaland been nominated? Because apparently he's in some Awakened Wonderpants or something that looks similar to Awakened Wonderpants. These are the nominees: Barella, Bellingham, Benzema. That's a long shortlist, isn't it?
It's a long list.
It's too long. I can't even actually conceptualize it, and it doesn't have enough. Hold on a minute, break that down. How many people were playing in? It's not. That's probably not English Premier League dominated, is it anymore? There's a lot of I would say, what's the biggest single nation represented there? I wonder. Would you be confident that it's the UK at a glance? Salah, Saka, Rodri,
it'll be between Spain and England.
Yeah, Haaland. But then also, no, the two English people are abroad.
They are now,
Yeah. Cool. Let's have a look then. Let's have a look at Alvarez in some Awakened Wonderpants. Let's see if that's true, because you could become an Awakened Wonder any time. Click the red button, like Julian Alvarez almost certainly has not, and it's likely a visual error. Let's have a look.
Rent's cheap. I rent the space. I don't work for Vectrum. We're our client. So
Why
just
did he? That I actually am astonished by that. I've never seen that. Taking the shirt off is such a sort of an accepted piece of conduct. To see someone like that actually was like, I'm a bit overwhelmed by that.
No, I know. I noticed the shift in your facial expression.
My breathing changed because like when he bent down, he sort of like that's his bum. And
do we need to explain for our audio listeners?
All right, when
Awakened Wonderpants are the first 1,000 of you that join our locals Awakened Wonderpants community will get these little underpants that look a lot like that with a badge over where the reproductive organ might be.
Your login does not have the dot between it because apparently that was already used. It's just your first name and last name.
Because doesn't he want everything now? I think he's won it all in the same year. Because he's won the treble Man City and he won the World Cup.
Temporary password that's going to have you reset to what you want.
The year before or something. I think he's won the most ludicrous amount of trophies in the space of about a year.
That's it. It's just he's Alexander the Great. He's got no mountains left to climb. He's going to have to invent. He's going to go and play like against the Sidemen.
Has to be eight
novel to happen to him.
Has to be 8.
He's got a bum like that.
Uppercase, lowercase, number, and a symbol.
A variety of
It has your financial information in there.
Mild contentment that characterises someone that's got such a delicious bum. Hey, get yourself some new Camp Grass. I got Upton Park seats from you that I sit on. Get yourself some Camp Nou, Barcelona's legendary stadium grass for €420. Do we want some of that?
No.
No, we don't want it. 'Cause it's just grass. You don't care? Not that grass.
Really. It's grass, isn't it?
You don't get. I like the presentation though.
It's good, but it's a nice.
If it doesn't work on Monday, I may
in
pull
a
you.
little stadium, that would.
It's pretty cool.
I
would actually take care of that. I would.
Yeah,
I would nurture that.
Well, isn't that thing? I'd be pretty sad if I looked in there one day and it had gone all brown.
Yes.
I'd be like, oh, let myself down there.
I have to use this for something else.
That happened all last night.
I'm going to use
a little mouse in there.
Little mouse test on it. This one's good to go. The mouse is still alive. The grass, hold on. No, the mouse is dead. The grass is dead. Give it a try. It'll be all right. Meanwhile, over at the Bernabeu, Real Madrid,
I'm only going to be here Monday and Tuesday next
shall we say enemy? I mean, it's fair to say enemy if you consider the
Vacation
Vigo matter and so many
Tuesday.
other matters. The Bernabeu's like this is amazing. I can't believe I've never been there, and I want to go there, and I want to dedicate my life to just going to football stadium.
Yeah.
When'd you go?
I went when Beckham was there. I saw Madrid win a title on the last day of the season. Yeah, it was great. I was right at the top, and the atmosphere was amazing.
Just in holiday in Spain?
Yeah, I went for a work job.
Did you?
Yeah, I was very lucky.
Which
for those moments where you're like,
were you working on the job? Was it like when you went to one of them sports shows?
Yeah, I was on a show that the competition was to win, and I went with the winner, and this was great.
My God!
Yeah, on Fridays.
But now they've updated that stadium. Let's have a look at the new Bernabeu.
Yeah, we'll get you at least a one-day check.
They can do big television shows in its upper echelons. Let's have a look. Why does it do that? Oh, come on. I can just move it. I actually can't.
What's the point? It just looks like a jigsaw at the moment.
Why are they playing sort of Tetris with the ground for? Move that over there. Now what? Now, they should do that during games.
Yeah.
No, you don't. Now you're over on the wing.
The sidemen will probably do that next year.
We're going to play on the move-in Bernabeu. We are the sidemen. No, middlemen. No, back to the side. Oh. I'm struggling to deal with this. First, there's Alvarez's bum.
Yes.
Now this extraordinary universe.
Right.
It's mental. Who's funding this? Like that's so expensive, isn't it? Like and they've bought Bellingham.
Yeah, I know. Well, they got him for a bargain price, to be honest.
Did they?
80 odd mil for what he's done.
He got 5 goals already.
I think he scored the winner in 2 or 3 games already.
Before you hit update, hang on a second, Justin.
Fantastic. He's gone at the right time. Madrid are looking tasty. New stadium.
I don't think it's going to.
Supremacy.
We'll try.
Real Madrid ascending.
Well, first of all, it's saying they don't match.
What happened last week?
Oh no.
Well, we did the same, which for you is a crushing loss. Because there's nothing of note there.
All right, there you go.
There isn't really.
Let's use go and log back in with that now.
You've got sort of like a mouse to walk across a chessboard with paint on its feet.
Yeah.
Like we're as clever as that.
Yeah.
You're soaring ahead, very much the Man City of this. And there's
it's your first name, last name, yeah.
Bad graphics. Jack just decided that.
Lowercase.
And thus it was deemed. So Hull, good start to the season. You've got to assume they're going to beat Coventry, and I'm going to say
Be a tough game.
Well, Coventry
Playoff finalists last season. Coventry, that'll be a tough game.
Half that string of draws. No. 3-0. Hull.
Wow.
West Ham. Oh, look at that clash of the Titans.
That's amazing.
West Ham and Man City. Just one draw. I just feel that the colour red is going to sneak to the left-hand side of the screen there.
Hope not.
No, I mean, gosh.
If anyone's going to give City a game at the moment, it's West Ham.
Because of the robust sort of sitting deep set pieces. Let's see if we can get a 1-1 draw. AC Milan v Newcastle. Is this Champions League?
Yep.
Group game.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. Newcastle back in the Champions League. That's
I hope they win.
I'll come grab that from you guys.
1-0 away. Bayern
I'll take you guys through the site one at a time.
3-1 Bayern. They reckon.
Current form, Bayern, surely.
So those are my predictions. You didn't do your predictions as usual.
I did.
Well, while I was talking.
Oh, this week. So I did last week.
Like, I know you do. You go off and squirrel away and consult AI. You consult AI.
I just take a little bit longer to think
So
about
Arjun, you want to use a green brush.
it. Didn't work last week, did it?
No, you got the same results as me, and I'll paint foot the mouse. Okay, so there you go. Do join us next week for another episode of Football is Nice, because football is nice.
Yeah,
It's it's nice. Tomorrow, Doctor, give me the news. I've got a bad case of loving you. Dr. Paul Saladino, Rhonda Patrick, Dr. Peter Attia, Dr. Mark Hyman. Everywhere you look, a doctor special. We are going to live forever. Coming up, we've got some fantastic guests on the show like Jimmy Dore, Crystal Ball, Yanis Varoufakis, Eckhart Tolle, and Ben Shapiro. Click the red button now, the red awaken button to join our locals community. And you'll also get all of this, early access to interviews, guided meditations, and behind the scenes meetings. Thanks for joining us. See you tomorrow. Not for more of the same. We'd never give you that, but for more of the different. Until then, if you can, stay free.
Yeah, you still have to wear a hairnet even if you're bald. For some reason, bald folks can still have dandruff or something. Everybody misses the toothbrush question too. It's kind of a trick question.
We still gotta wear like a beard net.
Anything in food production, manufacturing, that type of thing.
Yeah, this one or the one on Telegraph?
It'd be one on Telegraph. Okay. A whole lot. Right. What shift did you want to work?
First shift.
When can we get started?
Monday.
You'll have boots and stuff then? You understand the uniform? Jeans, white t-shirt, boots. Monday is the 18th. What did you want to do for your direct deposit?
Do you guys still have pay cards?
We do.
Okay, I'll take it.
You want a pay card?
Yeah.
You still got mine on file?
Yeah, if you still have it, I'll check it. Yeah, right. We'll check it out. What shift did you work before? You won't be able to activate that until your first payday. Okay. So if you start Monday, 18th, your first check will be the 29th.
Okay.
Okay. If you have any questions, then just shoot me a text. The handbook I did, don't forget that. It's got my number and stuff in the back. If you have any questions, just shoot me a text and I'll answer you as soon as I can, okay? Thank you. Nice meeting you. Again.
Yeah, it's my first time meeting you.
Dylan, I'm actually going to check yours now. Good. All right. Oops. Put this on for a minute. So should get off 3:30. Yeah. So second shift starts at 3:30. Yep.
It says, are you a new employee?
But no. I don't know why they even asked that, but yeah, you're not. So, state of Michigan is very nosy.
There you go.
Right, you take a look what you got. Okay. According to this, you haven't done anything. How would that happen?
Pressing next and it wasn't going next, so I went and hit skip. I filled it out and hit skip. Because I was hitting next and it wasn't going to the next.
I told you it takes a second to respond. It's reading that to make sure that everything that needs to be filled out is filled out. Okay, well then you can leave. No, go ahead, get the hell out of here. No, dude, that's under the breath shit. No, get the hell out of here. Have a good one. Hey, Dylan, have a seat. I need people, but not like that. Take care of your kid. I put him on the computer. Even though he was one of the last ones to get here, because he told me he had to go pick up his kid, and then he's gonna. Right. All right, let me get your stuff ready to go. If he tries to come back in here. Just your first name, last name is the user ID. Now it just wants you to create your own. I'll let the girls up. All right. Well, that was fun. Okay, click on eDocuments. All right, let's find some of these guys.
Very welcome. Nice to be here.
Who is Jeremy and what is the quartering? Well, I'm a commentator, I guess. I'm a Midwestern dude who uploads 4 to 5 videos a day covering everything from big tech to YouTube to technology to pop culture, movies, video games, whatever's going on in the world, I've got you covered. We're still on YouTube right now. I just decided to just quadruple down in the face of losing nearly $30 billion. Reimagine. I'm sorry, again, listen again, I'm out of practice. Reimaginings. They are literally trying to put a content creator
Bianca
in prison
let me take a look
for their opinions. You're going to find interviews on my channel. You're going to find deep dives. You're going to find breaking news. You're going to find long-term coverage.
Yeah, just
everything
check that
to stay in touch. You're going to find it on the quartering. If you're watching this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I really
tab
think
off of
you're
it.
gonna
It
find
jumps
one
to
or
the
two videos
present
here
year.
you really enjoy.
Other names and the carbon number N/A.
Good day. Good afternoon to everybody on this wonderful Thursday afternoon. It is September 14th. Lots of stuff to talk about. We'll see if the internet connection holds. I'm not exactly sure why. It seems like it's always something. I assume this is on my end. I'm looking at paying the piper and having cable run up to the house, even though it'll be at my cost, just because it can't I can't work, when I'm supposed to stream, and then I have to deal with that. Plus ultimately, I'll say this, I want better quality.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? Like better quality streams than I'm able to do right now. So there's that. How's everyone doing today?
All right, let me see. Yep. Other names. He's NA.
Yeah, it's gonna. I went back to the quote. I guess Spectrum did quote it last year for me. I guess, but they told me, "Oh no, we can't run it. Can't run it." And I was like, "Even if I pay?" And they said no. But then when I called back this time, they said, "Oh yeah, there's a quote on your account for $35,000." And I was like, "Okay, do it." I said, why didn't they do it last year? Why can't this? Why doesn't this window come up? Here, there it is. So 35 grand to run the cable, but then I'll pay $150 a month for internet instead of $1,000. So basically, in 2 years, I'll cover the cost, and for those 2 years, I'll have a more reliable connection. Starlink is 100% fine for home internet. Like, it's very good. But I can't. It's just not for the streams. It doesn't work good for the streams. Yeah, that was the quote last year. So who knows what they're going to say this year? I mean, if they come back like what Verizon did is they initially quoted me like, I want to say it was like 30 grand. Then they came back and said 60, and I said I walked away because fiber is like $2,000 a month. But then actually I pay $1,500 a month for internet. I have 2 Starlink business dishes and a backup Viasat dish. They're all $500 a month business plans. So it's $1,500 a month I'm paying for internet right now. So in 2 years, I'll get rid of I'll deactivate the Starlink for now. I might keep one of them for backup internet. So cut $1,000 off.
If you're not doing anything,
and then as long as everything's good with the cable internet, then
yeah, you don't have to put anything.
I'll cancel that other backup one. So it's
just stay one down.
The 10G fiber is like 10 grand a month. The fiber I was looking at, which is a dedicated fiber line, was 1 gig up and down. But that was like two grand a month. But at least I would not have had the speed issues and the reliability and streaming problems. But when they made it 90 grand or whatever to install it, I was like, no way. Even at 60 grand, it's too much. But if Spectrum really will run it, then that's $150 a month instead. It is a tax write-off, yeah. At least there's that.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch that.
It's a business expense.
30.
So some interesting stories
did you
to
put a
share
one
with
in
you
there?
all today.
Number 6.
Interesting news.
Go down and click submit.
We'll see.
Bam.
Yeah, the one gig, it's a gigabit down in like 35.
The second shift.
Is that still an extra dollar?
Yeah. So they are working.
You know,
she just texted me.
Right now, I get like 11 up, which is or 11 to 15 up.
You want to start tomorrow?
Which is plenty, but it's not consistent.
9:15?
Like if I'm uploading a video file, it's fine. But when I'm streaming,
What you want to do for
not,
your
I can only run at 3,000 kilobits. And even
that's
that
right. You
drops
had.
things. So at least with if I pay the money, I'll be able to
get CashApp on
1080p.
Okay, yeah,
I can stream in 4K if I wanted.
I just want to make sure
And then I
that
won't
you haven't
have,
changed
like,
your
all
CashApp or
those
anything.
like that.
Okay, so yep, you're good to go. Tomorrow.
Would I rather kiss a dude on the lips or suck a dude's big toe after a long day at work? That's easy. I'd kiss a dude on the lips. That's easy. Amishizaku says, thanks, Coffee Run Coffee.
I have to
on
nap it out.
Rumble.
Sorry.
Got my own code and everything.
White shirt and jeans, yep, and the
Amishizaku
boots,
for 5% off. Can't wait to try the pumpkin spice flavor coffee.
As long as
Yeah,
it's not
gonna
too
be
much
good.
of a delay. I have to check that. How much of it out of the way it is. I don't think it is much though. So yeah, she's willing to do it as long as it's not because we want to get to the
TommyTube has got a new concerning
middle of West Virginia woods.
Let's actually talk about it. Well, YouTube is preparing for yet another pretty big change that's going to affect, well, quite frankly, everybody. I think it's going to be a good thing for Rumble, as you know, people will want to move over because
It's been a while since they
what they're doing is rolling out yet another sweeping, censorship update, and they're basically cutting off a lot of the doctors that provide any kind of medical advice that is, let's say,
Bianca first.
it's not even like weird stuff. I think that YouTube, and I've said for a long time, YouTube has a legitimate problem with videos that are providing like selling miracle cures and stuff like that that don't work. That kind of stuff is what I would consider
actually
misinformation and actually dangerous. And you know, I don't care if it flags that. But when you're talking about like doctors who talk about keto and they're promoting, certain pharmaceutical companies' videos over the top of actual doctors. It's getting pretty nuts. And there's a video put out yesterday by Dr. Eric Berg, who you may not know, but he's huge. He has 11 million subscribers on YouTube. I'm not totally sure how he got them all. Probably during, the COOF, I'm assuming. Although, I don't know, he says this. He's pretty good at viral content, looks like. 1.3 million views, 500,000 views. So he's very, very popular. And he provides some natural solutions to stuff as opposed to getting on the pharmaceutical train. And what he was talking about is now the effects of this. YouTube announcing new policies to target medical information, but now we're seeing it actually rolled out. So it said YouTube on Tuesday announced in creating its new framework to crack down on medical misinformation on the platform. It says, in the years since we began our efforts to make YouTube a destination for high quality health content, we've learned critical lessons about developing community guidelines in line with local and global health authorities. The platform has faced controversy in recent years for its algorithm and the way it can direct viewers to misleading and extreme content. In 2021, YouTube said it removed more than 1 million videos related to the COOF. 1 million videos.
Yep. There you go. Now pick your own password.
It will remove content that contradicts guidance from health authorities on the prevention and transmission of certain conditions and the poke. It will also take down content that contradicts guidance on treatments, including videos that tout unproven remedies in place of seeking care and content that denies the existence of specific conditions, blah, 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 blah. Now, what's interesting here's where it gets a little more concerning, right? The platform said its new policies, quote, will apply to specific health conditions, treatments, and substances where content contradicts local health authorities or the World Health Organization. Now, what's interesting is, so this particular doctor is on Rumble as well. I wonder if he just created a Rumble, because it looks like he went 2 months ago, and then boom, 2 days ago, and then censored. Yep. So I'm assuming he actually. This is always like a salty thing for me. I'm glad he's here, but it's always frustrating when it takes somebody like we've been talking. People like Six Hexenhammer and I have been embracing new tech for years, at the expense of our own pocketbooks in most cases. And it's like nobody ever wants to embrace them until they're the ones that get censored. It's frustrating. But nonetheless, he uploads this video.
You to create
and he talks specifically about some of the things that are now happening. And what I thought was, interesting is his example on, for example, ketosis. He's got thousands of videos on the subject. Yeah.
I mean, this is just ridiculous. I mean, maybe they don't understand it because the doctor's talking over their head, or the information doesn't make sense, or maybe they do really understand. They just don't agree with this idea of suppressing a symptom with a drug and being on the drug for the rest of your life. To me, that's not science. I mean, even if you start looking up like pretty much almost every disease, psoriasis, MS, if you look at the cause of this, it'll say unknown cause, unknown cause. We don't know what causes it. Well, if you don't know what causes it, what makes you the expert over that condition, But what really frustrates me.
This episode is brought to you by Patriot Gold.
I don't know if you the one you just did yet. First name, dot, last name. Your first name, dot, last name.
Good afternoon, Michael Malice here. Let that be your welcome for the next hour. We have with us a very special guest, Cenk Uygur, head of the Young Turks. His new book, I want to get the title exactly right, is out now. Justice is Coming, How Progressives Are Going to Take Over the Country, and America is Going to Love It. Cenk, I know you've been writing this book for a very long time. And as someone who's an author myself, I know it's always glacial.
All right, click on where it says
the fingernails process. What finally got you around to, getting this resolved and out?
Just fill that out.
Yeah. So basically, I run the CYT Network. I'm the founder and CEO, and I host our flagship show, The Young Turks. Right. And I've got 2 young kids. So it was just a matter of attrition, like just getting through it, moving to the next trench and the next trench. But I will tell you, there were parts of the process where I had to get over mental hurdles. And one of them was having an establishment person, a New York Times book reviewer in my head, and I had to kick that person out of my head before I could continue writing. And I wrote it for the audience. I wrote it for the average person, and some parts of the establishment will despise the book, and they're supposed to. It's for outsiders, and it's for progressives and populists that are looking to overthrow the system.
Yeah, when talking to conservatives, it's almost impossible to get them to view there being some distinction between establishment Democrats and progressives and democratic socialists. And they might have some kind of grudging confession that Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders aren't the same phenomenon. But if you push them, it's like, well, they're going to end up the same place anyway. And I don't think that's accurate, because Bernie Sanders would have never passed the Defense of Marriage Act as a very easy example. Certainly in terms of foreign policy, I don't think their worldviews are analogous. How would you explain to people the difference between, say, progressivism and someone who is just a straight ticket Democratic voter?
I think it's very easy to explain to the average guy, to Republicans. Where it gets difficult is what I'll call mainstream Democrats who have grown up on mainstream media. That's where it gets the hardest. So to the average person, I would just say, look, super simple. Progressives are for all of like the Democratic agenda you've heard of, that is for the average worker, higher minimum wage, paid family leave, child tax credit, and go on and on.
This is other names, but
and establishment Democrats like Hillary Clinton are for corporate rule. So they will do whatever their corporate donors tell them to do. The rest is all just theater, theater put on by mainstream media to make you think that there's actually a debate, a free marketplace of ideas, et cetera, et cetera. But the media hates that kind of talk because they're the ones that put on the play. And so, unfortunately, media is overwhelmingly effective. And so if you watch MSNBC and CNN and read the New York Times and listen to NPR, you believe the play is real. So you think that Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden are doing the best they can. Golly gee, they just couldn't get anything done that they promised. But, oh, shucks, we'll do it next time. And that was the best they could do. Whereas progressives actually want to pass those bills and protect what I think are freedoms that the American people and the whole country was set up on. If I could just explain that, and a huge part of the point of Justice is Coming is explaining that to mainstream Democrats, then we could win in primaries, and then we would win in general elections super easy, in my opinion.
One of the craziest things I hear in right of center circles is this idea that Joe Biden is a communist. And it is, but and maybe they just mean it to mean outgroup, right? Like, roughly speaking. But the idea that Democrats like Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton, Joe Lieberman, and others at the DLC aren't in favor of a corporate-run system where, big business is basically sending orders down to the people in Washington and having them have those orders filled, to me is bonkers. I mean, there's no part of Joe Biden that wants to
go and log in using the password.
Most industries. That just seems just crazy to me. And a very obvious example, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts, is what the Biden administration just recently did about those strikers. This is the party of labor, blue collar Joe. And as soon as you have working class people who have some kind of leverage, and they're like, all right, like, let's get our share of the pie.
Give your idea and stuff.
Here comes the state to make sure. He was just one step away from sending in the Pinkertons.
Yeah. So there are a couple different factions within the Democratic Party and even within progressive. So I think those are interesting topics. But this one is not a hard one. Like, Biden
click on e-documents. Yeah.
I wouldn't even call him a capitalist. I think he's a corporatist, along with most establishment Democrats and most establishment Republicans. The great majority of Congress is corporatist because they take corporate donations, which I would call, and every rational person would call, a bribe. And if you're taking bribes from corporations, you're serving corporations, and you're not serving the American people. By the way, you're also not serving capitalism, because capitalism is about free markets and competition. It's not about giving away the store to your donors. The Republicans invented that. They perfected it. But now the Democrats have copied them nearly perfectly. Good Democrats like Joe Biden. But the idea of calling him communist. I mean, why don't you tell me you know nothing about politics without telling me you know nothing about politics? Joe Biden despises communists, despises anything that isn't pro-corporate. And so we couldn't get him to move, 15% to the left, let alone to communism. And I wouldn't want that anyway because I'm not in that.
Watch closely because.
What was your reaction? And this is going to be a little bit of a throwback when in 2016 Hillary Clinton got called out for being Wall Street's favorite senator, and her response is, "Well, they just thought I did a good job with 9/11."
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. Okay. So listen, you've picked two great examples. So let's stay on them. So Hillary Clinton got tons of campaign donations from Wall Street. Back when she was the first lady, she pushed Bill Clinton, her husband, to regulate Wall Street. Very specific topic. Okay. The same exact topic comes up when she's a senator, now funded by Wall Street. And she changes her position. It's like, Wall Street doesn't need to be regulated. Now that they're bribing me, they don't need to be regulated at all, right? And then she goes, after she's senator, goes and gives paid speeches, directly money into her pocket, millions and millions of dollars. And then goes, no, they just want to know my pearls of wisdom.
Yeah, we won't even need to read this.
That's already out.
We just did it in July, right?
No, that is a bribe.
Wait for vacation.
Okay. Now, if you say that in Washington, heads explode. You're helping the Republicans. You're not helping yourself if you're lying to everyone. Everyone knows that's a bribe. And so, and it's not like the Republicans don't take them; they take them in bucketfuls and bushelfuls, right?
Now
So
you have
Vero. I wanted to get back to also what you mentioned about Biden and the rail strike, right?
Yeah.
Now, you don't have to be a communist
I'll
or
fix the
socialist or democratic socialist to be in favor of the average American worker. Okay, I call myself a democratic capitalist, and I am very much in favor of the average American worker. And the framing is maddening from both the people and from the people who pretend that they are objective, right? Mainstream media and Joe Biden framed that as these workers, they could disrupt the entire American economy.
Good, yeah. Wait, hold on. If he's right, pay him more.
What shift did you guys
They're
have?
that important.
Exactly
Pay
my
him.
point. Michael, that's exactly my point. But wait a
You
minute.
guys think you'll have boots and stuff
Why isn't it the companies?
by Monday?
Companies give them
So Monday,
paid sick days off.
18th.
So isn't it the company's fault? And especially if you're a Democratic president,
You know where the location is, right?
and you don't make that point and you help to smear the workers with it. Now, look,
Right.
Biden
Now, if you're not going to make it, please just let me know.
complicated. I'm not saying there's no
All right.
nuance. The National Labor Relations Board is pretty good. And after he did what we're talking about, he did push them, and eventually those companies did give a couple of sick days off to their workers. So I want to give the full nuanced picture of it. But overall, accepting the framing that it's the workers' fault and not the company's fault is disastrous. Definitely not socialism. That is basically corporatism.
I'm curious why you use the term mainstream media instead of my preferred term, the corporate press, because to me, I don't think they're mainstream at all. I think it kind of gives them more credit than deserve because their whole goal is to basically have this top-down, we're going to be the rulers and controllers of perceived public opinion, and we're going to form what
as busy as I've ever seen them.
Whereas
We're not
my
really
preferred
losing
term,
it
the corporate
either.
press
Just
really, I
bigger
think,
and bigger.
speaks to people across the political spectrum to realize, wait a minute, this is an institution or a series of institutions with an agenda. That agenda is sometimes positive, sometimes negative, but it certainly isn't, objective and, value free.
So it's a great question, great point, and I have a very specific answer. So first of all, in the book, I explained that corporate media is not just what we colloquially call mainstream media. It's also right-wing media. Those
Yes,
are both
of course.
under the same exact umbrella. That is why you'll see they'll fight on culture wars 24/7, but the minute it's student debt relief or paid family leave or higher wages for the average American worker, all of a sudden MSNBC and CNN agree with Fox News exactly. Okay, so they never disagree on any of those economic
Why
issues.
would you think corporate media doesn't include like Fox? Like where'd you get that
So
impression?
my point is corporate media definitely includes Fox.
Of course.
Okay, so I hear you, and that's your point, and it's a great point. So why do I use mainstream media from time to time? The reason is when you say corporate media, for the normies, that signals to them, because they've been brainwashed by mainstream media, into thinking, oh, that guy's a radical. That guy's a radical, probably a communist or something.
Oh, I mean the speaker, like you're the radical, like if you use that term.
Yeah, if you use
Okay.
corporate media for a lot of the normies because they've been trained into thinking that corporatism is
He could use you over here too.
ridiculous, no such thing exists.
No,
We
no,
don't
you're
live
gonna-
under
you're gonna get on
corporate
the
rule.
computer.
Everything is great. Everything is fine. The status quo is beautiful. Corporate
The
media, that
most.
sounds like
Yeah.
a conspiracy theory. No. So that's why I'm saying, and by the way, when I say mainstream media, the right wing knows exactly what I'm talking about. And then I say to them, now, brothers and sisters, you don't think Fox News is part of that same media ecosystem that's trying to drive us apart, but help corporations? You don't see that every time there's tax cuts for the rich, Fox
It's
News
a lot
loves
closer
it.
for you, isn't it?
Tax cuts and deregulation for corporations that are crushing you, Fox News loves it. So I'm trying to bring people into the tent
Robert
of
Beveridge is
rationality
I
through
think is
different methods.
I know you got
Yeah,
two
so
coming
I
already.
started
You guys
reading your
bring them in
book,
there.
and one of the things that you bring up a lot in the first chapter is Fox News. I think you mentioned them like a dozen times. I'm curious to hear your thoughts as to how prevalent you still think Fox News is in terms of forming right of center public opinion, especially after the exodus of Tucker, who I would say is probably by far the most radical person that they had on their roster, certainly in terms of being anti-corporate in any sense.
Yeah, Michael, I think that we're in a situation where the media is in a gigantic flux. Okay?
Yes, yeah.
And so the Fox News flux is a little bit different than the CNN one, for example,
Sure.
and different than the MSNBC one. So in Fox
Remember your
News,
login?
they used to
Try to
be
reset it.
straight party line. Republicans
It's easier
are
to
awesome.
reset.
Conservative policies are awesome. Every Republican candidate is
Just gotta-
God's gift to humanity.
You can make
Every
the password
Democrat's
whatever
a
you want.
Satan, maybe literally. And so now it's bifurcated, and it's Trump versus the establishment. And Fox News has historically been the establishment. But what they did was
It's just better than getting up in your face and stuff like that, hanging over your shoulder, trying to
that
do
makes
this
a
stuff.
giant difference. So the con that Fox News ran for a long time is
What
we're
makes the password what
populist,
you
we're
want.
for the average American, we're for Kansas, we're for the workers. Now, let's give everything to corporations, right? So now Trump took that scam and put it on steroids. And so Mr. Populist, I'm going to protect your jobs, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to look out for you and America first. And then what's the only thing he passed? Giant corporate tax cut. Literally, his only accomplishment is an enormous tax cut to the richest people in the country
Operation
and
Warp
giant corporations.
And Operation Warp Speed.
Yeah. And to be fair, Operation Warp Speed, right? Like we were fair to Biden earlier to give the nuance, we'll give the nuance there. Okay. And that doesn't help him with the right wing, but it's true that he did actually help push the vaccine forward in a positive way, although he did many other things wrong related to COVID. So at the end of the day, Fox News is mad at Trump because he's riled up the base so much that they now went from having the little bit of populism sprinkled in as catnip to get them to vote for corporate interests, that they hate corporate interests so much that they might not vote for them anymore.
Yeah.
And Fox News is saying to the Frankenstein that it created, no, wait, come back to corporate interests. Come back to corporate interests. You went too far. And Trump is a uniquely corrupt guy. Not because he's corrupt and no one else is. Of course not. Almost everyone in politics is corrupt. So no, Trump is only corrupt for himself. Whereas establishment Democrats and Republicans are corrupt on behalf of their donors. They're servants. They're waiters and busboys and waitresses who just serve their corporate donors whatever they need. Trump, on the other hand, only serves himself, but he gives the appearance of not serving the powerful, which is really alluring, not just to Republicans, but to a lot of independents, etc. And that's why he won in 2016. And that's why he's currently leading Biden today, despite his 1,000 insane scandals. But the Democrats
he's on here his
cannot
breath
get
saying,
into
I don't
their
have time for this, blah, blah, blah. He's trying to fill
they're brainwashed by
stuff out. I'm like, I ain't got time for this either, dude. You can get the hell out of
no,
here.
we just support the corporate candidate, and Americans will love corporations.
Who the hell does that
And they don't
during
see
an
those
interview?
bribes at all. No, brothers and sisters.
It just tells me that
Despite
exactly
all
what
of
he's
your
going to be like when he gets out of
propaganda.
I'm like, no, you're not
You can
representing
all see
us,
the bribes.
the client.
Folks, the U.S. debt crisis could ignite a long-term rally in gold.
I'll
Since
make this
March
easy for
2020,
you,
the
but
U.S.
dude,
has
you
added
go find somewhere
$8
else.
trillion in debt, and gold is up 50%. Now, with the Fed raising rates, the interest payment on our debt has surpassed $1 trillion a year. BRICS nations met last week, and oil-rich nations Saudi Arabia and the UAE have joined Russia, China, and India. And another credit rating agency, S&P, downgraded multiple U.S. banks on liquidity worries. 51% of Americans can't pay their credit card bills. which just surpassed $1 trillion for the first time ever. If this is Bidenomics, increased spending and regulation, it's only going to get worse. Buying gold and silver is a defensive strategy when you don't trust elected officials in Washington, D.C. to have your best interest at heart. So, what should you do? You should call the proud Americans of the Patriot Gold Group today before it's too late. Mention me, Michael Malice.
And I put him on the computer in front of other people because he told me he had to pick up his kid
Patriot
at
Gold
3
Group
o'clock.
has the no fee for
It's
life
okay, no
IRA,
worries. I'll make sure you
where
get
your
that in plenty of
401k
time.
can be in physical.
And he
gold
got
silver.
frustrated
And
because he
you
couldn't
may
get
be
logged
eligible
into
for
the
the no fee
computer.
for life IRA.
Even though I
by
walked him
qualifying
through it several
rollovers.
times.
All you have to do is call 888-505.
He, instead of hitting next, because I had him do all the forms,
Go to
instead of hitting next, he was hitting
Patriot
skip.
Gold
I'm like,
Group is
dude, what do you
Consumer Affairs
expect?
top-rated gold IRA dealer, 7 years in a row. So call 888-505-9845
I don't have time for this. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
or go to malicegold.com.
I don't either.
Protect your
All right, cool.
assets
So you got
against
this,
inflation
and then up
today.
here we're just going to put NA.
Guys, if you know about me, you know I have a big green thumb. I love growing plants.
some
It's a
reason,
lot
those
of
stupid
fun.
blanks
They
have to
didn't
be
do
full.
so well here in Austin, and that's why I should have gone to
Bam.
fastgrowingtrees.com
Review,
because
it's
they've got
me.
thousands of
All
trees
right.
to grow,
Good there.
plants, shrubs, and trees, which are
All
curated.
right. You just
for your
did,
unique
and yeah, you
climate,
just did your.
environmental needs. They've got Meyer lemons, they got evergreens, they got shade trees, and they've got everything in between. And you don't got to go to that big box store and haul that stuff around. With fastgrowingtrees.com, you order online, they arrive at your door in just a few days. If you don't have a green thumb, that's fine. They're just a Zoom chat.
Once in a while, they are doing Friday here too.
Fastgrowingtrees.com, plant
2
experts
weeks
are
ago,
always
they
available. You can help,
everyone got
and they can
overtime.
walk you through your entire garden. And they've got specialized degrees and training to help troubleshoot from root to leaf.
Well, even if
telehealth for your plants. Join
you're
almost
going to be Monday
2
through Thursday
million
here,
happy
mainly.
Fast Growing Trees
But,
customers. Go to fastgrowingtrees.com.
if they need help, they will ask.
Get 15% off your order.
Some
and you'll
days
get a tree
they'll
in the mail,
just
like I did.
they've been working so hard Monday through Wednesday here. Sometimes they'll ask the guys that
15%
are
off
over here
at
on Thursday.
fastgrowingtrees.com/welcome.
Whenever they do offer overtime, they call for volunteers all over. So.
From your perspective, is that a good thing or a bad thing that Trump has turned the
Monday?
Republican base anti-corporate?
Another great question. So it's both. Okay.
Yeah.
Overall,
All right.
the fact that he
So,
has
5 o'clock in the morning.
kind of
Yep. 5 a.m.
unleashed,
front door.
unmoored
Meet up with
Republican
Rob.
voters,
I'm still telling
Republican
t-shirt and
establishment
jeans. All right.
is actually a terrific thing. Okay. Now
All
the
right.
problem is
Good
he
luck.
unmoored them.
If anything changes,
pushed them in a
text,
fascist
okay?
direction, which is a terrible
Right.
thing. Like if he just said, if he actually meant a word of what he said, and he actually fought for the American worker, because of social issues,
Hired
and other things,
5,
I might
kicked
vote against
one
him
out.
anyway. But I'm not sure I would even consider him a net negative phenomenon, right? But right now, he unmoored them and went to, oh, guys, you know, we got to get rid of wind turbines because it's hurting my property, golf property in Scotland a little bit. And, you know, we got to get rid of this and that because I got to let the Saudis dismember people and give $2 billion to my son-in-law because I'm getting rich off the golf tournament and my son-in-law is getting rich. So, but that doesn't help anyone. And so, and then when and to me, the number one concern with Trump why he's unthinkable is because of January 6th. Look, guys, again, not regular mainstream media kind of way of looking at January 6th. A lot of those schmucks really thought that the election was stolen and they thought they were doing God's work, in their mind, Trump's work, the same thing, right? But the guys who organized a fake elector scheme and actually had a 3-hour conversation about rolling out tanks against the American people and using martial law, and that concocted this thing to basically do a coup when they knew that they had lost the election and they had no evidence at all. No, that ends the country. And I'm not going to go for it. And I'm not going to encourage anyone to go in that direction. So, and that's the problem with when the right gets unmoored from the system is that they often wind up in fascism. And we've got to pull them back. We got to pull them back. But there's no one pulling them back because the Democrats are so engrossed in their bribes that they can't look up from the trough. I'm eating Pfizer money and Lockheed Martin money. I can't look up and see what's happening.
You know, I couldn't agree more because I think you're speaking to a deep truth. I made this point. I was on Rogan once, and I said, if Middle America starts putting up guillotines, corporate journalists will be tripping over themselves to make fun of how dull the blades are. It's like you guys are playing with, I don't mean you, but I mean you guys are playing with fire. When you talk about the right wing and it gets
that's what I was saying.
Like basic civil norms.
Okay.
It does. It's not the Tea Party and just someone waving a swastika.
No, you'll be here.
It's very violent. very authoritarian, and very scary. And the point I always make is violence sings its own song. So if you think it's just going to be something that's going to be easily put down, it's not. I mean, look, we're recording this on September 11th. It was a handful of people who, unleashed enormous devastation, both on the day and things that happened as a result of that, intentionally and otherwise. So I think it's a very dangerous game, this kind of sneering, because lefties historically have understood when people are marginalized, whatever population, and they feel they've got nothing left to lose, well, you're really kind of giving them a blank check to do unspeakable things because there's no downside for them.
Well, again, it's worse than we even imagine. 41% of Republicans now say that it might be time for violence.
Right, yeah.
41%. Not for like, hey, get rid of the filibuster, massive fundamental change, get rid of bribery. No, violence. And by the way, what's perhaps even more shocking about that poll is that a huge percentage of Democrats agree and independents agree. It's now that those numbers are now in the 30s. And you're like, I'm like, what is going on in this country? And what's going on is torture. Corporate media is torturing us with gaslighting of there's no corruption. There's no corruption. Billions of dollars in bribes are not bribes. Those people, even though they are voting exactly as their donors tell them,
they're just good citizens. The CEOs are good citizens who want to contribute to the conversation like you do and I do, right? Yes.
And so once they torture us with that gaslighting, people go, okay, then I'll lose my mind.
He's
because I don't know
takes the master gaslighter.
I know what's not true. What every anchor on television is saying is definitely not true.
I like how Michael still respects
I'll
him
take
too.
the first guy who shows up that has an alternative.
He knows he's full
and
of
Trump
shit.
And Bernie showed up, and the media was able to bludgeon Bernie so that he couldn't win the Democratic nomination twice. So they're like, okay, I guess our populist choice is Trump. So we're going to go in that direction. And Trump's like, great, let's make me dictator. And that's how fascism comes. And then what did he do? Violence is okay. Second Amendment rights. Don't tread on me. You got to fight against government tyranny. Second Amendment rights. And Matt Gaetz did it, and Tucker Carlson did it, and they all did it. And it burned into people's minds is if you don't agree with the government, that means they're tyrannical. Go grab your gun and make sure that you do violence.
And from your perspective, don't you think literally, I'm going to say literally, all the trends are to exacerbating that direction?
Well, right. That's unfortunately, if it's not completely correct, it's awfully close.
I'm sure maybe there's one or two exceptions I'm not thinking of, but I mean, overwhelmingly, let's say.
But that's why, look, so at the end of my book, I get hopeful, and I'm going to give you the hope in a second. But first, before the hope, we're in the darkness before the light, right? And currently, we are at the nadir of light. Like, there's almost no hope left.
That's not true. It could, come on, it could get a lot worse. Like, in all
no,
seriousness.
it could get worse if Trump wins, and we just have flat-out fascism.
Sure, yeah.
But I'm saying, in my lifetime, in covering American government, it's never been worse than this. The corruption is 200%, and we're on the precipice of fascism, right? So now, and all the progressives have surrendered. And so, to me, that's the worst part of all. And those progressives are surrendering, in my opinion, right before victory. They're snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. And so, why do I think we're at potentially very close to victory? Because of demographics. And I don't mean racial demographics. I mean age demographics. The young are super progressive. They're going to vote with us. In fact, even in the 2020 election that Bernie lost in the primaries, in a state that he lost by a lot, 21 points in Michigan in 2020, he won under 45 vote by about 40 to 50 points. So everyone under 45 is basically a Bernie Sanders supporter, okay? So, I mean, overwhelmingly, we're this close to winning the Democratic primaries. And right as we're this close to winning, they're like, no, we bow our heads to Biden. Biden is our commander, Lord Commander, and we will all do as he says, and we all endorse him like 17 years before the election. So now the audience is looking around and the voters are looking around going, God damn it, where's the hope? So at Young Turks and TYT, we're going to give them hope. We're going to fight back, and we don't give a damn what corporate media says. We don't give a damn what establishment Democrats say, Republicans say, or Trump fans say. No, we're going to give you hope. We're going to fight back, and we're going to win. And yes, I would love a stronger candidate in 2024 to represent the progressive position. And yes, I know corporate media will take their heads off. But that's what I'm asking for. I'm asking for courage. But I can't find any in Washington.
One of the things I don't know if confused is the right word, but something I'm kind of shocked at is if someone is of the opinion that Trump returning to the White House might be an existential threat to America with all that entails, or at least a radical reinterpretation of the America that has existed for the last, whatever, 80 years, you would think that it's like, okay, this isn't a dress rehearsal. All hands on deck. This is the real thing. You know what I mean? We've been through it once, and now he's going to be, it's like, the trilogy. Now he's emboldened, right? And his base is more radicalized, more emboldened. To fight against him with this Weekend at Bernie's like corpse is, to me, seems like almost downright immoral.
So political malpractice, and that's part of how I'm fighting back. Look, I'm going to ask you to go to a couple of links if you agree. Okay, one is CYT.com/dropout. That's a petition to push Biden out of the race.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So, and why? People say, well, Cenk, there's no, like, Marianne, God bless her heart, but she's not gathering enough momentum for to win. Whether you agree or disagree, that's fine. But like, there's no giant progressive that could replace him. So why are you trying to push him out? Because I don't want to lose to Trump. Like, their mind is locked in from like MSNBC, New York Times, NPR brainwashing. Biden is the only one who can win. The corporate Democrat is the only one who can win. The incumbents must be supported. It is radical heresy not to support the incumbent Democrat. Bow your head, bow your head. And unfortunately, it totally works. Are you guys crazy? Biden is 15 points lower than when he eked out of Electoral College victory in 2020. He barely won by 43,000 votes in 3 swing states. Please spare me your horse crap about the 7.5 million votes unpopular. I know, but that's not the point. I know Biden is more popular. I know that Trump is very unpopular. That's not the point. The point is, are you going to win the election? And we do that based on the Electoral College. And the guy who's barely won last time, who is now 15 points lower and can barely get through a speech, is not going to win. I'm sorry. I'll do a self-aggrandizing analogy here. I feel like I'm Paul Revere, and I'm running like.
Are they finally charging him directly for it?
Trump is coming. Don't put out this guy who could barely dress himself. If this is the most important election of our lifetimes, and democracy is on the line, and I agree, it is. You're going to put up a wounded antelope as your candidate, and then people say, "Oh yeah, this is their favorite trick in the world." Again, taught to them by the people in mainstream media. They drilled it into their head. Oh yeah, name another candidate. Easy. Literally every Democratic governor.
Yeah, that's
way better than
most of the senators.
Yeah, look, the senators have issues, and certainly a handful of them would be way better. But there's a dozen popular Democratic governors, and a bunch of them from like purple states that we need to win. Why wouldn't you go with? Look, dude off the street, next guy that walks by my house, better than Biden. Okay, but a Democratic governor that's popular is definitely better than Biden. It's actually not even arguable. A lot of those governors are sitting at above 50%, right? Which is these days very hard to do, especially in purple states, right? Biden's at 39. Where's the question? No, the only reason that anyone thinks that Biden might be the better candidate, or that it's even a legitimate question, is because they've been programmed to believe that you must bow to authoritarian leaders. If it's a Democratic leader, a Democratic incumbent, you must bow. You must never challenge them. And I don't agree. I'm in open rebellion. TYT.com/dropout. Get them the hell out of the race. 1 million people signed that petition, and people are going to notice.
How concerned are you that, God forbid, something happens to President Biden and we have Officer Harris as the Democratic nominee?
Very concerned.
And that's not unlikely at all. I mean, I think this is a coin toss at this point.
Totally. Look,
and I think he'd wipe the floor with her, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, we've got the two most hobbled people in the Democratic Party as the leaders. And by the way, it's not an accident, guys. Why is it an accident? Isn't it an accident? We interviewed Grover Norquist all the way back in 2004. We've been around forever at the Republican National Convention. And since he thought we were kind of irrelevant radio show at the time, he's extraordinarily honest. He's the head of Americans for Tax Reform. That's the biggest corporatist giveaway to the rich group in the world, right? Right wingers, etc. And we asked him back then, McCain was more popular than George Bush. He had a more storied career. He had higher popularity rankings, better media. But you guys listened to both of them, and you chose Bush over McCain. And that made a giant difference because Bush then got a lot more funding, and he wound up winning. Why did you guys do that? And he said, because we asked both of them, are you going to listen to us or not? And John McCain said, well, I'm a maverick. Of course, I'm going to listen to you guys, but I'm going to make up my own mind, obviously. And Bush came in and said, yeah, what do you need? I don't have an opinion. What do you need?
You can't blame him for asking that question and going with the guy who said yes. You can't blame him.
That's it. And so Norquist basically admitted on our program, we went with a guy who said he would take our bribes and do as he was told. We went with a servant boy that George W. Bush was. By the way, now mainstream media, including MSNBC, loves Bush. Has Bush and Cheney people all over their network. Half their hosts work for Bush.
Does that surprise you, having these people who I would regard as war criminals, and not to mention the fact that gay baiting in 2004 with the state bills, to have them being valorized by people like Rachel Maddow? I would think there'd be a little bit of like, okay, like the enemy of my enemy is not always my friend. These are still horrible people, even though they're hating someone I hate.
No, look, since I'm very progressive and populist, people assume, oh, well, you're not very practical. Because again, media brainwashing, right? No, I'm enormously practical. So if Liz Cheney says, I'm going to vote with you on something that is important,
Yeah,
I'm going
great.
to take yes for an answer. Right? Yeah. If Liz Cheney makes a powerful case against Donald Trump on television, I appreciate that. That doesn't mean I'm going to vote for Liz Cheney. That doesn't mean I like Liz Cheney. And that doesn't mean I'm going to agree when she wants to start the next war. And it doesn't mean that when Dick Cheney goes to support her, that Nancy Pelosi should hug him and that MSNBC should sing his praises. And it also doesn't mean that you should hire Nicole Wallace, who was literally the mouthpiece for Bush and Cheney when they pushed for war, torture, warrantless wiretapping. And now all of a sudden she's our hero? No, she's not. No, she works for corporations. And that's what MSNBC loves. And they're sheep herding their entire audience to right-wing Democrats. But what they don't realize is a lot of those folks then become right-wingers instead of left-wingers and instead of progressives. So I got no interest in them in heading in that direction. Matt Gaetz did an anti-corruption bill, and half of it, 3/4 of it, was pretty good. I would clean it up. Give me the 3/4 I agree with. I'll definitely vote for that bill. I'm a practical guy. I don't give a damn that Matt Gaetz or Liz Cheney and their names, etc. But if you ask me to lionize them in general and give them credit and say they're our new friends and allies overall, no, hard pass.
Because this isn't just about tax cuts or, school choice. This is about killing hundreds of thousands of innocent people. And if you want to be really a nationalist and be like, I don't care about killing people overseas, well, those kids grow up and sometimes they don't have a very positive opinion about you. And some of them are even, unfortunately, going to do something about it. So this kind of chain that, that people are just kind of sweeping on the rug, to me, is extremely disturbing and very dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely. So, look, Michael, my battle plan is TYT is now largest online network, right? My plan is to make TYT the largest media network, period. Because you're never going to convince the corporatists that run MSNBC that progressives are the better alternative for Democrats, that they shouldn't necessarily listen to Democratic incumbents, they shouldn't support corporate Democrats. They're not going to do any of that. They're going to keep doing exactly what they're doing now. Same thing for Fox News and CNN. And by the way, do you want to know why I'm saying to your audience? It's because they are the ultimate benefactors of the corruption.
Oh,
so, for example, in 2022, they spent a record-breaking, astounding $17 billion in those elections. And where did almost all of it go? To corporate media to buy ads. So you think corporate media is going to turn down $17 billion to support progressives because it's the right thing to do and they're the left-wing channel? No. They're going to accept and be super happy to be the beneficiaries of all of that corruption.
Senolytics are a class of ingredients discovered less than 10 years ago, and they're being called the biggest discovery of our time for promoting healthy aging and enhancing your physical prime. That's why I want to talk to you guys about Qualia Senolytic by Neurohacker. Our sponsor, Neurohacker, packs 7 most science-based senolytic ingredients into one formula called Qualia Senolytic. You could take it just 2 days a month for fast, noticeable benefits for a much better aging process. The formula is non-GMO, it's vegan, gluten-free, and the ingredients are meant to complement one another, factoring the combined effect of all ingredients together. It's also backed by a 100-day money-back guarantee. You have almost 3 months to try it, and then no financial risk, and you can decide for yourself. Go to neurohacker.com/malice for up to 50% off Qualia Senolytic. And as a listener of You're Welcome, use code malice at checkout for an extra 15% off your first purchase. That's neurohacker.com/malice to try Qualia Senolytic with code malice and start aging on your own terms. And I got to tell you, this is the kind of stuff that's big here in Austin, and I'm really plugged into that community, and I'm really excited to see what kind of stuff is coming down the pipe. Hey, folks, Michael Malice here, tolerated author, Twitter asshole, and sheath underwear model. I love wearing sheath. I wear it every single day. They're the most comfortable briefs you'll ever wear. And I'm currently designing a new pair of sheath based on a certain type of fish, which you'll see in the coming months. Every time you hear my voice, you should know I'm wearing sheath. And what makes sheath different is that they have dual pouch technology. They have one pouch for one part of your male anatomy, another pouch for another part of your male anatomy. Sounds weird, but when you put them on, they're going to be super comfortable. They keep you cool in the hot weather, keep you nice and snug in an interview, on a date, doing a podcast, so on and so forth. After you try sheath, you're never going back to the other brands. Support the underwear that supports you. Go to sheathunderwear.com, use promo code malice, you get 20% off. That's sheathunderwear.com, promo code MALICE, 20% off. They've got shirts, they've got hoodies, they've got mesh ones. They have something for you. They also have a girls line, but since women aren't allowed to listen to the show, I can't help you. Sheathunderwear.com, promo code malice. Let's get back to the show. One of the things I often say is that the corporate press doesn't have a bias, it has an agenda. I think it's probably inevitable that everyone has a bias. You're going to see things that validate your worldview and kind of sweep away things that don't, and I think that's part of human nature. But I always use, when I talk to lefties, I always use and example because there was an incident that happened, which to me demonstrates very clearly that this isn't just mistakes. This is just people being stupid. This is
West Side.
honesty. You had David Duke on your show many years ago, former Klansman who ran for Senate in, I think it was 88 or somewhere in the 90s in the Republican primary and lost. Hardcore anti-Semite, hardcore racist. You know, this is his bread and butter. And at the end of the interview, he says, you know, I'm not an anti-Semite. And you go, no, of course you're not. It's so, you know, and the idea that you'd be platforming and agreeing with some big racist is just absurd given your history and your views. And when the New York Times discussed that interview, they quoted David Duke and they said, no, of course not, said the host or whatever, how they refer to you. And it's literally impossible, literally, to watch that clip and not get that you're being sarcastic. There's no misunderstanding. It's not confusing. But then to see it in writing as if you were actually agreeing with it, taking out the sarcasm, to me was an example of a great, like, they want to destroy you. This cannot have been done accidentally or stupidly. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that whole exchange.
Yeah. So, Mike, there's 3 layers to that, right? So, first of all, corporate media has a corporate bias, but they do something extra, which is actually a genius trick. They say, no, our position is the objective one.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So our bias is built in to what is objective. And hence, if you disagree with us, you are by definition radical and we are objective. That privilege
and also radical is bad. And that's just a given. Yeah, that's kind of a given.
That's right. That's right. So if you don't agree that corporations should rule everything, you're a lunatic. Ha 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 ha. You're totally illegitimate and not credible. It is like that should be studied in psychology,
Afternoon, Oklahoma.
Business classes for how to manipulate people for profit. It is amazing. And it is so much more subtle than right-wing media. Right-wing media is a blunt instrument. They just tell you lies that are super obvious. The mainstream media, they're brilliant at taking bias and lies and painting it as if it is objective and beautiful and truthful and honest, right? So now we get to the second layer of it. When they get to a point where, in that case, they were attacking me because they despise me because of all these things that I say. But more importantly, they were attacking Bernie Sanders. It was right before Super Tuesday, and Bernie had endorsed me, and they found it to be a perfect opportunity to smear him and me as sexist and racist and all these terrible words right before people voted on Super Tuesday. And so that's when they didn't have time for subtlety. They went with right-wing media strategy of just lie about him. Who cares? Just put it in the headline. Put it in the headline. Who cares? So your point, they had to retract that one because it was such an outrageous lie. In that interview with David Duke, I called him an anti-Semite, a racist, an idiot, a loser, etc. No one who watched that interview could possibly think that I was on David Duke's side. So when they wrote it like I was on David Duke's side and I wanted to share his anti-Semitic views with our audience, even other corporate journalists were like, guys, you're kind of giving away the game here. This is too much. You've done too much here. But it wasn't just that, Michael. Then they said that I was anti-Muslim. They never clarified that I'm Muslim. That I was born Muslim. I grew up Muslim. My whole family's Muslim. I'm atheist now. But you don't think it's relevant? You think I'm against my entire family and friends? I grew up in Turkey until I was 8 years old. You think I think the whole country is wrong and terrible? I mean, not mentioning that the person grew up Muslim when you claim that anti-Muslim, bigoted against Muslims. No, you're just saying, I'm lying. I want you to hate this guy. I want you to hate him, right? And the last one. I mean, look, this is an old joke that has been around in politics forever. Like, if you really want to smear someone, forget the sleeping with girls, forget the guys. Say they're sleeping with farm animals, right? I think Lyndon Johnson had a line about it. They literally did it. They took a joke I made about a horse being pleasured on the show. And I say at the end, did the horse mind? Nay, right? And they go, yeah, he was being serious. It's part of his political agenda to legalize bestiality. Oh, my God, you maniacal liars. Jesus Christ, have you no bounds? So that's when I was like, look, I've been talking against corporate media my whole life, right? But that's when I realized, no, they have no bounds. And this is not around the edges. And this is not...
And it could not have been an accident. This wasn't like, oops, I misunderstood him.
Yeah, so I hate to say it, and because it is so ripe for misinterpretation, but I will give you full context here. I love the idea of a free press. I love the idea of an objective press. And that's exactly what I want to get to, okay? But the current corporate press is the biggest enemy of the people. And so I know Trump said it, so people catch feelings over it. And when he said it, he was actually lying more than they are. So it's terrible that I wish he had never said that, right? Because it unfortunately takes something that is true and stains it with his toxic Trumpness, right? But the reality is, what progressives are, as you'll see in chapter 1 of Justice is Coming, progressives are like 2/3 of the country. And guys, it's not hyperbole, it's not exaggeration. Every poll shows on almost every issue, 2/3 of the country agree with us, right? But how come we don't win elections? That's because the media is intent on absolutely destroying and keeping out progressives. They didn't even keep out Trump. They hated Bernie Sanders 10 times, 20 times more than they hated Trump. And so we've got to get past the corporate media, and they're a wall of propaganda. They are our number one opponent. If we get the minute we get past them, good night, Irene. They'll never be able to contain us. Okay. And sorry, Mike, the last thing. That's why I'm saying I'm trying to make TYT the largest media company, because then at that point I don't have to go through the rest of media. I could just tell people. And already we're at 400 to 500 million views a month every month, but we got to get into the billions, because once we do, then we're directly talking to the American people. And how do we get so large? We started in my living room. We had nothing. We had nothing. The audience lifted us up. And so the more people find out, the more programs like ours get lifted up. And then eventually we can talk straight to the American people. And the minute they hear us, tons of right-wingers come to hate watch us, and they go, wait a minute. These guys are actually saying things that are true, and even more true than Trump in their minds, right? So we got to just make all of our progressive shows larger than the mainstream media, then we will.
I was born in Ukraine, and you mentioned being from Turkey. I spent some time in Bodrum a few years ago, and I was shocked and delighted by how completely European and Western it was. It was, like any other kind of like Riviera town. And I was delighted by the warmth and the friendliness of the Turkish people. And I'm extremely, and I have a good friend who's from Turkey, more than one.
I'm going to kick that guy out of here. His PO is already calling me.
And I am very disturbed by the direction in which Turkey has been going in the last, 10 or 15 years. This is also not by accident. This is a very long march to the institutions by design of radicalization. And undoing a lot of what Kemal Ataturk had done, a long time ago. I'm curious as to your thoughts, as an American now, what is going on back in the motherland?
Yeah. So look, I'm not an expert on the nitty-gritty of Turkish politics, but from the outside, it's relatively easy to tell what's happening, which is Erdogan is a Trump-like figure, except unlike Trump, he's smart, and that's much harder. I think there's like 6 guys at a minimum, no, 7, that are in that same bucket with varying intelligence and hence varying effectiveness. So you got Putin, Erdogan, Trump, Netanyahu, Duterte in the Philippines, Bolsonaro, luckily now out in Brazil, and Viktor Orban in Hungary. And so these are the neo-fascists that are all using the same tricks. What's the first group of people you're going to target? Religious people. Why? Because they have already said, we have given up logic and reason. We're acting only on faith. And who do we give faith to?
I saw Keto say something.
Religious leaders are super easy to co-opt because on average, they're the most corrupt. So politician goes to them and says, I'll make you guys more money and more power. They go tell everyone, you vote for the right winger. Right winger's definitely right. Yeah, Jesus wanted more war. Jesus hated the poor. Jesus loved the rich. They just lie. By the way, Bible is pro-abortion. Everything that you hear from religious leaders on the right is nothing but a lie. Numbers 5:11 through 31. I also put that in Justice is Coming. God is 100% in favor of abortion, and he commands it at priest
145
if he thinks the wife has cheated on her husband. So read your Bible. Your religious leaders are totally lying to you, and they've been lying to you your whole life. So anyways, so they're all doing the same trick. Unfortunately, Erdogan's really good at it. He totally got the religious side of Turkey to go, fundamentalist side, to go with him. And then he let in a bunch of Syrians and Afghans and then gave them citizenship. And so they all voted for him, and they're more fundamentalist Muslim. And he's taking what was an awesome secular country, and every single day he's making it darker, more corrupt, more fundamentalist, more irrational, and more geared to specifically supporting Erdogan's corruption.
Yeah, it's very disturbing to watch, and obviously there's very little either of us can do from the outside, but just seeing a country kind of, if you look at another example, if you look at pictures of Afghanistan in the 70s or Iran in the 70s, Andy Warhol in his diaries was complaining that the Shah, there was less caviar because the Shah's fortunes weren't doing so well, but that's how westernized Iran was. And then this idea of like, oh, this guy's terrible, we got to get rid of him, it can't get worse. It's like, people who always think, especially Americans, like they can't get worse.
But yeah,
have no idea how
you're not racist.
Some of these
That's exactly what they
can
would
become, and how really just evil.
We've got a ways to go. That sounds like a
horrific direction. I'm curious your thoughts. There seems to be, from my perspective, and I want to hear your thoughts, there seems to be a big division within the Democratic Party elites about what to do with Trump. And it seems to me that there's one wing that's like, we got to make him the nominee because with all these indictments, there's no way he's going to get elected. And the other wing is like, this guy's corrupt and a criminal. We got to lock him up, throw away the key, and make an example out of him. Do you think that analysis is accurate?
Yeah, definitely accurate. And the wing that wants to make him the candidate, they're, in a lot of ways, they're traitors because they think it'll improve their chances by a couple of percentage points. But they're willing to play with fire.
Right.
They say that democracy's on the line and you're going to help Trump become the nominee. You people are disgusting. And so either you don't mean it at all, or you're totally okay with a higher percentage chance that this country falls into fascism because it helps your political chances by a couple of percentage points. It doesn't get any more disgusting than that.
Literally only adds
if
1
it was up
hour
to me,
to
I push a
trip.
button right now and Trump disappears from politics. I don't want him. I don't care about the general election as long as it's not Trump. And so that's an overstatement. Of course, I care about it, but the number one thing that I care about is that we don't go down a fascist way, right? And now, if you notice, the Democrats are morphing that into, well, actually, all the Republicans are fascist.
No worries, Keto. I appreciate it.
No, wait a minute. Nikki Haley is not fascist. Nikki Haley is a corporate stooge, but she's not fascist. And I don't think Ron DeSantis is fascist. I think Ron DeSantis is a terrible guy, and I think he's demagogued, and I think he's hurt the LGBTQ community, etc. I can list you all of his transgressions, but I never noticed him trying to end an election or reverse an election or do a coup or end democracy. So let's not, because if you do hyperbole, then you become the boy who cried wolf, and they don't believe you.
And here's the other thing, which I always tell people: the story ends with the wolf showing up. So that's when you're talking about the boy who cries wolf, you keep crying wolf. He's going to show up at the end. That's how it ends, stupid.
Yeah, and by the way, right now, I mean, keep going with that analogy. The Nancy Pelosi's and the Joe Bidens of the world are inviting the wolf over to their house because they think, oh, I got this. Do you? Because I don't remember you having it in 2016. And you brag all the time, you Democratic goons, about how you barely eked out a victory against Donald Trump, who's barely in the double digits in IQ, by the way. I mean, 6 bankruptcies, thinks that wind causes cancer. You might nuke a hurricane. Nuking a hurricane might be a good idea. The stealth fighter is actually invisible to the naked eye and is like Wonder Woman's jet. And that you should inject bleach into your body to cure COVID. And you guys are having infinite trouble beating that moron. And you think you got this? No, you've shown definitively you don't have this. Do not encourage Trump. Do not invite the devil to your house because he might show up and he might be stronger than you think he is.
You're Welcome with Michael Malice is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Folks, most of you listening right now are probably multitasking. Yep, you're listening to me talk, but you're also driving, cleaning, exercising, maybe even grocery shopping. But if you're not in some kind of moving vehicle, there's something else you could be doing right now, which is getting an auto quote from Progressive Insurance. It's easy and you can save money by doing it right from your phone. Drivers who save by switching to Progressive save nearly $700 on average, and auto customers qualify for an average of 7 discounts. Discounts for having multiple vehicles on your policy, being a homeowner, and more. So just like your favorite podcast, Progressive will be with you 24/7, 365 days a year, so you're protected no matter what. Multitask right now. Quote your car insurance at Progressive.com to join the over 29 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $698 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2021 and May 2022. Potential savings will vary. Discounts not available in all states and situations.
Hey, whatever podcast you're listening to right now, guarantee it's not as good as
you can
Fighter
stop
and the
listening.
Kid.
Stop listening to it and listen to Fighter and the Kid.
We've only been doing it for 12 years.
Oh, geez, before anybody else was doing them.
Everybody's copying us. It's so much fun. We cover sports, pop
Dirty
culture,
there.
Life, dude.
Lizzo,
life, feet, fetishes.
Oh,
There's a lot
cool.
of sex talk.
It's only going to add like an hour.
You're
to
not
the
going to
trip,
learn
so.
anything, but hopefully you'll laugh. You know what I'm saying? You might learn something.
Go subscribe to the Fighter and Kid right now.
Immediately run. Don't walk.
Let's get back to the show. What do you think? Now, I think you would probably agree that there's almost no possibility of having a MAGA majority in the House and the Senate, just for various reasons. Certainly, even if the Republicans won every single Senate seat in the 2024 election and Trump got in, it still wouldn't be anything close to a MAGA majority. But from your perspective, if you had Trump in the White House and magically there was a MAGA majority in both the House and the Senate, what do you think America would look like? What policies do you think they would implement?
No, but remember, Michael, you don't need a MAGA majority. Trump just needs credible threat of ending their careers if they vote.
Okay, sure. How about a working MAGA majority? Like, what do you think that would look like?
Yeah, I think they are going to have that. If Trump wins re-election, every Republican, no matter how corporate they are, will instantly bow their heads and listen to the alpha leader. And so Trump will get everything he wants this time around. And so what does it look like? Look, we fight Republicans for a living. I've been fighting them for 25 years on TYT, 21 on TYT, 25 overall. And I could fight Republicans. It doesn't matter. The demographic wave is on our side. We're almost definitely going to win in 2028. I just need the Republic to survive, right? But if MAGA wins, Trump wins, the number one thing I'm worried about is we're not going to have another election. So, or it's going to be wildly rigged.
That's gaslighting.
It's going to be maniacal rules that make no sense, and they're just going to shove it right down your throat. He's going to start arresting political and media opponents. I would be very surprised if he didn't do that.
No, we're going to do it.
It's going to be authoritarian.
She's cool.
I
just texted her about it.
Absolutely
she's like,
shocking to the
That's
people
cool.
in power. I mean, those idiots on TV, on cable.
I mean, it's a
they still don't get it.
7-hour drive.
They still think it's going to be,
without the
it's
stop
all right,
and
but I'm going to keep my
over 8.
mansion and I'm going to get to send my
So
kids
if
to
we
private
leave
school. Everything's going to be great. Don't worry about it.
around
No,
10,
it's not going to be great.
11, 12.
I would be very surprised if he didn't include
2-ish.
opponents. So, and then the rest of it is, I mean, you want to go anti-LGBTQ, of course they're going to do that. They're going to, and by the way, what are they proposing?
Yeah,
Guys,
we'll
the
be
main
fine.
thing they're going to do is give even more tax breaks to the rich and corporations. In fact, today, news came out that Trump's main proposal
We just need to find some place outside to eat.
lower corporate taxes from 21%.
I mean, he's got his licensed
he was
ESA.
successful in lowering it to 21%. Now he wants to lower it to 15% because corporations don't have enough of a break. And this is the populist candidate on the right. The right-wing media lies to their audience 24/7, so they actually think he's a populist when he's the exact opposite. So yes, corporations will get more, and hence, by the way, until as long as he's dangling that carrot in the corporate world, that I'm going to lower your taxes again. And it's actually politically smart for him to do that because now the corporate donors are going to start inching back towards his way. They're going to start funding the DeSantis's and the Chris Christie's less. They're going to start to power down their opposition against Trump because their greed is going to kick in. And if Trump proposes that bill, they will be on Trump's side all the way until he passes that bill. All of a sudden, you'll start to see positive things about Trump in the media because those corporations love those yummy, delicious corporate tax cuts.
Well, I mean, so just to be clear, like that lower taxes on corporations, obviously abolishing elections is extremely fascist or extremely authoritarian. But is that the worst that you think the domestic policy would be?
No, there'll be hateful policy against LGBTQ for sure. And there'll be hateful policy around the edges to Latinos, Blacks, Muslims, Jews. But I don't think that's their main objective. I think that's how they get votes.
Okay.
But like and it's not like they don't do it. They've done it in tons of states. So don't take any chances, right? I'm not trying to minimize it. I just think their main thrust isn't hate.
You think that would be okay to have him there?
Like in the greed.
What do you think of the recent attempted bill by the governor of New Mexico to have an emergency decree that carrying guns in, I think it's Albuquerque, is banned for 30 days?
He's got his paperwork and he's got his vest.
So I don't know where gun control comes out in terms of populism, and you'd have to poll it. So when I say 2/3 of the country is on one side, I'm not saying
even inside that
because they're on my side. I'm saying it based on the polling. I'm looking at facts and data, etc. So gun control is a complicated one because on things like universal background checks, it polls at 97%, and the whole country wants it, except our politicians. The banning automatic weapons is polls at about 2/3. So that's good, etc. But my positions are further left than where most Americans are. So hence the Albuquerque thing is perfectly great to me. I would do it more.
But I mean, are you not concerned with kind of what's good for the goose, what's good for the gander, that a Ron DeSantis or Governor Abbott will similarly look at some emergency, feigned or otherwise, and be like, all right, for the next 6 months, no abortions in the state, even from.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, my bad, Michael. You're right. No, you have to do it through regular process.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So the substance of what he's proposing, I agree with. But you're right. The method by which he did it is not correct. Because if you go down that path, totally right. The right-wing governors go, okay, there's no rules anymore. In fact, I'm worried about that right now. Not some with the governors, Republican governors, but a lot of conservative sheriffs now have this giant group of 3,000 sheriffs where they say, if we don't think it's constitutional, we're not going to enforce any of these laws. And that's very dangerous. Because then you're going to have different guys with guns from the government
they're not
at the local level, state level, and federal level pointing the guns at one another. And that's a disaster in the making.
What do you think of, you can look at them individually, all three.
Disaster,
there's a lot of talk online that Senator McConnell, Senator Feinstein, and Senator Fetterman should all resign, that they're not fit for office to varying degrees. What's your take on all those? And perhaps you want McConnell in office because he's a hobbled leader as opposed to someone who's a strong, vigorous candidate.
No. So I never believe in these games with like, oh, I want the other super evil person to be in office because I think I have a couple of percentage points better. No. Get them out. Mitch McConnell is the heart of darkness. I can't, on policy alone, I couldn't wait for him to get out of the Senate. Obviously, the Democrats, being the enormously incompetent party that they are, could have no chance of defeating him in Kentucky.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, there's no way.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he has to voluntarily leave at some point. And so there's one exception I'm going to make here, which is Fetterman, because Fetterman's mind is perfectly okay. He's having trouble, and that's one of the things that got affected in the stroke. But he understands you perfectly well, and he forms perfectly cogent thoughts. If I thought there was something wrong substantively with his mind, then I would put him in the same category.
Even though I think things that I
pre-stroke
can
Fetterman
jump behind
was probably the best hope we
100%,
had.
but come on.
I mean, he was an almost perfect populist progressive candidate. And so, man, what an unbelievable bad luck turn that he wound up having a stroke. But okay, but his mind is fine. Feinstein and McConnell, no question, get him out instantly. It's absurd. There is no Feinstein. She has full-blown dementia. She can't remember what she said a minute ago. Schumer has to keep repeating. All the senators are chipping in. And in reality, the person wheeling her around is Nancy Pelosi's daughter. Pelosi's controlling that seat. It's an absolute outrage that she's still in the Senate. And by the way, why is that? Because Gavin Newsom, when he thought it wouldn't be relevant, promised that he would nominate an African-American woman to that seat if Feinstein stepped down. And the logical choice is Barbara Lee, who's a progressive. And since Gavin Newsom is a corporatist, he doesn't want to put a progressive in. He wants Adam Schiff to win. So he's like, no, I don't see it. I don't see a problem. Nancy Pelosi's doing. I mean, Feinstein's doing a great job in running that seat.
I think it's a funny visual, almost like Russian dolls, where you have Feinstein and then behind her is Pelosi, who's what, 80 something. I mean, she was shaking hands with JFK, and then there's going to be someone behind her, and it's just going to be this big stack of wheelchairs from here to San Francisco.
100%. And Mitch McConnell, who are you kidding? You saw with our own eyes, you freeze for 30 seconds. Twice. Once like for 10 seconds, another one for nearly.
And that's
30
just in public. We don't know what's going on behind closed doors.
Yeah,
right.
Sorry, Michael. You're 100% right. His staffers were totally nonplussed. They were like, oh, yeah, there he is freezing again. Okay, let's handle this situation. Because you know why? Because the actual politicians are irrelevant.
Yes.
They're just placeholders. Whoever's in that seat is going to do exactly what the donors tell them to do. So it doesn't matter if their name is Feinstein or McConnell, their brain is functioning or their brain isn't functioning. The only issue is they don't want to get rid of McConnell on the Republican side because he's brought in $1 billion from donors, and they don't want to get rid of Feinstein on the Democratic side because Nancy Pelosi's running that seat. This is what corruption looks like.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts as a proud progressive when you saw Joe Biden. I think he was in Vietnam over the weekend, and he starts giving this rambling. I don't even know what point he was trying to make, and then you hear Karine Jean-Pierre over the last week go, "Okay, that's the end of the press conference. Everybody out!" And it's just like 1 second away from Mr. Burns being like, "Release the house, get out."
No, guys. I mean, look, all of Washington has turned into Weekend at Bernie's, and there's a reason for that too, because a new politician is a risky investment. The donor doesn't know what they're going to get for their money. Whereas with Biden and Pelosi and Feinstein and McConnell and every other Republican senator, they're super old because they bring in a good return on investment. They're a safe investment. So the donor goes, I know Pelosi, McConnell, and Biden have worked together to give me trillions of dollars in goodies. I don't know Joe Blow, and the progressive is against me. No way, right? Just give me a standard corporate robot and wheel them in. They're widgets anyway. What difference does it make who's serving me? Okay, so that's why you have super old people running Washington. They're a perfect symbol of our corruption because they're just placeholders for corporations who do exactly what they are told.
I don't have an answer to this, and I'm extremely interested to hear your thoughts. Let's suppose through some mechanism, imprisonment, or he's knocked off the ballot, President Trump is effectively kept from being the Republican nominee in 2024. Not that he loses the primaries, but that he's kept from being given a shot. He's got a stranglehold on, I'd say, a good 40%. I think it's being conservative of the Republican base. What do you think will happen then? What do you think is going to be a new candidate that'll emerge? Where are those voters going to go?
Look, I think Trump should be kept from the ballot because he organized an actual coup attempt against America.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
I believe that he should definitely never be allowed to run for office again. I mean, it's like, honestly, it's like letting Mussolini run for office again. Like, oh, he'll behave this time. And you know the analogy I wanted to use. I just don't want to go trigger people because they're going to think it's extreme. But yeah, you don't let fascists run for office again because they're not going to play fair. They're not going to a lot of times the normies make the mistake of doing projection. Oh, Trump will think like I do. Like, no, he'll play fair. No, he's not going to play fair. He's going to end it. Okay. How many times does he have to praise dictators and say, "Oh, I love it when Kim Jong-un walks into a room and they all stand and applaud"? Yeah, that's because he murders them if they don't. And Trump is both too stupid to understand that and doesn't mind. He's like, I'm down with it. I love people bowing down to me. He's like, so you get that clearly. Having said that, I really, really want him to lose in a regular process. Because if we ban him from office, however that happens, I will say yes to that. But I will then brace for impact because the right wing is going to be furious. And so will violence break out? Almost definitely. Who will they go to? It's hard to tell. I mean, they're not going to go to the cheesy corporate way.
They're not going to Nikki Haley or Mike Pence.
Yeah. No way. I just talked to a Republican neighbor just a couple of days ago, and he's like, "Yeah, they're trying to make us pick Nikki Haley. We're not going." Okay, and so they know.
It was an article from The Hill that Nikki Haley's like spiking, and she was at 7% now. It's like, that's like the Green Party. Like, what are you talking about?
No, Michael. Look, I'll be even more clear. After we cover all the debates, so you can't broadcast the debate because Fox News has rights to it, etc. But we come on air at the Young Turks immediately after and give analysis. You know what we said after that first debate? We said we think Vivek Ramaswamy won. Not that we like him. We don't like him. We think he's cheesy, he's greasy, and we're going to break down all the things that he said wrong. Okay, but we think the Republican voters will like Vivek the most out of this debate. But we also added, but the media will say Nikki Haley won. We predict stuff all the time because they're so predictable. They're so predictable.
Well,
and so what do the media say right afterwards? Nikki Haley won. Nikki Haley won. You turn on MSNBC, Nikki Haley won. Fox News, Nikki Haley won. CNN, Nikki Haley won. Right? And they moved her numbers from 5 to 7%. Congratulations. But she didn't win. She's not going to win.
The Republican base doesn't like Karen. When Nikki Haley had her finger in Vivek's face and was wagging and scolding him, does not play to the Republican base at all. It does play to the boardroom at Fox and News Corp, but and maybe the New York Times, where they can appreciate that kind of thing. But in terms of New Hampshire and Iowa, you are crazy if you think this is what they want.
I'll tell you who can win on the Republican side, who could win a primary and who could win a general election and has like just a trace chance of even beating Trump in the primary. And that's Brian Kemp. So
Governor Georgia. Okay.
Yeah, because the reason for that is Brian Kemp is very strong, and he stood up to Trump and then did better than Trump's candidates, crushed Trump's candidates in Georgia. And he knows how to make a very right-wing but very strong message that appears populist.
He fucked himself.
And don't get me wrong. Again, I'm not at 1% in favor of Kemp. I'm just saying he's better at the art of deception than the other Republican politicians are, and he could make a real run.
The new book is called Justice is Coming, How Progressives Are Going to Take Over the Country and America is Going to Love It. I know you've been working at this for a very long time, so I hope it's a huge success for you. It's out now. Cenk, we're running out of time. What has been your favorite part of this interview?
Yeah, okay, I like that. So first, let me just say that you can order the book at tyt.com/justice, tyt.com/justice. Thank you. And my favorite part, other than you allowing the plug of the book, which I appreciate, is the fact that I was able to have a sane conversation. Because I'm now going on all different shows, right wing to left wing to middle to corporate, you name it. I'm going on all the shows, right? And oftentimes you will run into someone that lives on a different planet. And so the fact that we live on the same planet and can at least agree to facts and logic, it's a breath of fresh air. So thank you.
You are welcome.
Okay, that was exciting. We'll go back over here, watch the rest of this.
Is having them take over the keywords for the ketogenic diet. Now, why is that a bad thing? Because they don't have any experience in that area. Many times when doctors go to school, they don't get a lot of training in nutrition or anything alternative.
So he's going to share an example here. He's going to share an example here that, I think is just a pretty good one. We're not talking about what's getting caught up in these sensors is not, crazy, if one weird trick to, you have to eat 500 pellets of plastic to clear, stuff like that. It's actual information.
And so now they get to be the controllers of that information as well. This next video that I'm going to show you is the video ranked #1 for the ketogenic diet. Check this out.
According to Dr. Google, the most searched.
I like how, these doctors always like, ha ha ha. There couldn't possibly be good information on the internet. You have to go into the system. You have to get on a pill. You have to do this or that, right? This is from I believe the Mayo Clinic.
Question of 2018 was, what is the keto diet?
Now, the reason I'm bringing this up, and this was even 4 years ago, keto is very popular. People are searching for it. The bottom line is the more people that get on this diet, the less medication they're going to need because it handles so many issues.
I'm not shilling for keto. A lot of people tell me to do that to help lose weight. But the point is, he's right about this. And it applies to, the overarching way that this new censorship.
Oh, yeah, that's what I said. I agree with him a couple points, but he's a huge gaslighter himself.
The pharmaceutical industry does not want people not to, fixing things on their own.
Instead of carbs for energy, the body burns fat, entering a state called ketosis.
Ketosis, what could go wrong?
I'm not a huge Trump supporter either,
Sounds a
but
little dangerous to me.
his
That's why I've
thing
not tried
that
it.
Trump is just, there won't be any more elections if he gets
The
elected.
lack
Come
of
on,
differentiating
dude.
between therapeutic ketosis, okay, or they call it nutritional ketosis,
The federal
and ketoacidosis. But mild ketosis or therapeutic ketosis is extremely therapeutic. And I'm going to put some links on a whole bunch of science behind that supports that.
When I think about ketosis, sometimes I get a little nervous. I think, well, gosh, we don't really actually want you in ketosis. But can you tell us about that?
Right, and I think this is something that is the unknown with
Three broads
people are saying, well,
who are really just the
broads.
The nefarious thing is that this is clearly handpicked to be the #1 video that results in the Google search algorithm.
Ketogenic diet and be in ketosis, because really, when you think about what ketosis is, it's a alternative pathway that our body has to use.
So I won't go through. He basically says, hey, look, there's actual science behind this, and these are 3 women who don't even know who have done very little research on it, and YouTube puts their video #1, and I think that's pretty nefarious. It's pretty messed up. They don't. I understand, like, legitimately, I understand that you don't want videos of, like, you don't want people who are, like, actually, doing harm. But I mean, this guy's a real doctor, just like many doctors we saw censored during the coup. Dr. Malone, anyone who spoke out, even as a doctor. You see this person, someone who got an injury from the poke, they're getting strikes on YouTube, even though they're sharing their personal stories. This is going to get worse, and it's nuts.
Well, it's official. YouTube has just now banned anything related to health that doesn't align with the general medical consensus. So if any information related to health doesn't agree with the World Health Organization, they won't necessarily always take down the video, but they're going to change the algorithms. So they're going to replace those videos that were popular, that had lots of likes and lots of engagement with medical information. This new partnership with YouTube is supposed to protect you against misinformation and promote high quality health information. And their definition of misinformation is anything that opposes their viewpoint. I mean, if you go to drberg.com, you will see that I have 7,607 success stories. I'm helping people. I'm giving people lots of non-toxic solutions. And it's going to hurt a lot of
They
people.
don't want, at the end of the day, this is all about making sure, at least in my opinion. So he says now his videos are all hidden. He used to show up for, a wide variety of topics, but you can't find it unless you type in his name. I mean, I don't know. This video he just uploaded yesterday has 1.4 million views. But the fact of the matter is, I would say this is ramping up. Even you look at even the way the experts treated things during the lockdowns. What they were saying was changing, right? Need 1 mask, need 2 masks. Oh, if you get this, if you get the jab, then you won't get sick. All these stuff that they had wrong, and that's the experts that are setting the bar, which is very weird. I think natural solutions are always something that is ripe for exploitation and quackery, but also it's a actual solution. Many people, there are lots of money. There's lots of money in the pharmaceutical industry tied in with the WHO and all these other things that, ultimately they want everyone on pills. And that's going to be the new YouTube now. You're going to have to go to Rumble or BitChute or Odyssey to find anybody who's willing to talk about alternatives to popping pills, which is ultimately what, Big Pharma actually wants. It's definitely wild.
Is that Dr. Berg? Is that who he's talking about?
I'm glad that Dr. Berg is I'm glad that Dr. Berg is coming over to Rumble. But, it's awfully interesting. Pharma companies don't make cures because a cured customer is a lost customer. Well, yeah, exactly. Why do you think they push the trans stuff so much? That's a lifetime customer of puberty blockers and testosterone and SSRIs and all this kind of stuff.
He's not wrong.
By the way, speaking of, up until now, the digital dollar, or CBDC, has been nothing but a headline. But right now, things are developing at a rapid pace. It started with sweeping executive order from the Biden administration, and now central banks are even hiring for their development. Here's the thing. The digital dollar can be used to track your purchases, control what you buy, and even seize or freeze your assets. That's why it's critical that you protect your purchases, protect your money with precious metals like gold and silver. That's why I partnered with a top-rated precious metals company, Goldco, because they're a great company with amazing reputation. And right now, they're giving up to $10,000 in free silver while supplies last. Plus, all qualified callers this week will receive a free Ronald Reagan silver coin. Don't wait until all your money is under Biden's control. Head on over to quarteringgold.com, link in the description as well, to learn how to protect your money. Looks like Hunter Biden indicted on 3 counts of illegally possessing a firearm while addicted to drugs. Anytime you get a light roast and flavors and decaf, my wife loves your coffee but doesn't like medium roast, is having heart issues that require her to lower caffeine intake. I'll look into it. The firearm thing is the only thing they've tried to put him on, I mean, and again, an indictment doesn't mean anything, really. You know, it doesn't. You know, an indictment doesn't mean shit. It can be dropped. All it means is like, hey, we said you did something wrong. That doesn't mean they've been charged with anything. So you have to first indict someone before you can then pardon them or you know, free them up or dismiss the charges. The Hunter Biden thing, I think, is it's a saddle around Joe Biden, an anchor, but I don't think that it's a winner for Republicans. It's the guy's son, and if they can't specifically tie Joe Biden to, you know, the stuff, I think you're better off pushing how crappy the economy's been and how inflation has been out of control and how he lied about being at 9/11, ground zero. I mean, the guy, or how he's like mentally defective.
I kind of agree with you, though.
These are issues I think that work.
Dirty.
Member of Drag Group at center of the LA Dodgers drama caught masturbating at California Park. I, for one, am shocked.
Yeah.
I, for one, am shocked that this individual is a degenerate.
Wow.
I'm shocked. I, for one, am completely shocked. Now, what they didn't say is, you know, was it by the kid's playground? One witness to this dude's alleged debauchery claimed that the drag queen parked 2 spots away from him on his trailer and had his left leg out of the open door and the right leg up on the dashboard with no pants on, and gave him full view of him playing with himself. Well, this is fucked up, Randy Fleek told the Daily Wire. It's obvious you cannot help but see the guy. He's not hiding it. He wants everyone to see what he's doing. He allegedly gradually shed his clothes during his hour in the car until he was naked, despite multiple cars passing through the lot, many of which sought a view of the coast. People pull in to see the ocean. They don't pull in to see this, but you can't help but see it, the witness added. There's something wrong with that man. He's got a weird effing desire to show off in public to anybody that wants to look at him. He puts himself in a position, in a spot that you can't help but look at the son of a bitch. The accused deviant appears to go by several drag names, including Novice Sister Beth Cuckham, Bethy Cockham, I don't know. And, you know, several pictures depict Alice Gilmore covered in white face paint, long wigs, dresses, and fishnet stockings. I don't know. I'm speechless. I'm speechless. Now let's talk about Oliver Anthony again. You may remember Oliver Anthony and his meteoric rise with his song Rich Men North of Richmond. And he has been embroiled in controversy after controversy now since breaking
because he won't pick a side.
And part of me is trying to look at the most reasonable solutions here, the most reasonable explanations. But essentially, the right has now turned on him and are calling him like a fake, calling him a Democrat plant, all this stuff.
Bullshit.
I don't know, but the story is weird. I personally think he's just a young man who has no real background in the music industry and is getting taken advantage by people. But there are some suspicious things being omitted. So essentially what started is, Oliver Anthony's cancels his Cotton Eye Joe show, citing $90 to $200 tickets. My shows should never cost more than $40. Ideally, no more than $25, he said. But the math is curious. And we're going to get into that after a super quick word from this video sponsor. You guys don't have to see that. It's Magic Spoon. So here's his video that he put out.
I had to pull off on the side of the road and make this video. My adrenaline's pumping, man. I'm pissed off right now. And don't buy Cotton Eye Joe tickets for $99 a piece. And sure as hell don't buy VIP passes for whatever bullshit price they're on. I have a buddy of mine who's not a booking agent. He's a friend of mine. He's a full-time plumber, and I'm trying to hire him full-time as my booking agent. And he agreed to the show, I guess, without asking for what the ticket prices are. Don't pay $100 for a ticket. That's horseshit. If we've got to cancel the venue and play somewhere else, we will. I didn't agree to it, and I don't want you to pay it. So please don't. I'm just trying to get the word out now. I don't know when the event got posted, but just.
So his buddy books it, right? The statement is,
it's not his buddy.
So the venue says, Cotton Eye Joe claims we were charging people $120,000 per show. That has since turned in. They have since turned the comments off, but I wanted to clarify. The most I've ever made on a show is $35,000. We've done 2 shows in North Carolina that were completely free, and I have another free show scheduled for September 23rd in Kentucky for a cancer benefit. My booking guy handled all of this on the phone with them and realized that there are 2 sides to every story, but I personally talked with Cotton Eye Joe on the phone about not charging extra for meet and greet. That's why I was so upset for seeing them charging $200 for it. I felt like they suckered us into playing there just so they can make extra money off y'all. That being said, I wish the best. All the fault is ultimately with me. I should have been more thoroughly involved in the booking and should probably consider using a professional consultant in this area. I would agree. There's no reason why tickets should have went up for sale before a contract was even signed. The good news is we've already found multiple other options for $25 admission venues in Knoxville that can accommodate more people the same week the show is scheduled for. We still have a good thing. We're still going to have a good time in Knoxville soon. I'll share updated post, right? So perhaps it was just his buddy, so then Tim says, the question is, did you charge $120,000? Not how much did you ever make? Because to me, the venue had 1,500 seats. So if you do the math, if you do the math on that, just anybody, you don't even have to be good at math to know that if he's paying $120,000 and 1,500 people fit into that, that's minimum $80 a seat. So the venue charging $99 a seat isn't that crazy, to be honest with you. It just isn't. This is look, freaking Blink-182 and Rage Against the Machine are charging $400, $500 for tickets. $100 for a ticket actually isn't that big a deal.
From what I've heard and seen so far.
But my guess
you never know.
Is that the booker probably did agree to the $120,000, which people on the right are like really like Tim and Mike Cernovich. All these people are like calling him a fraud now. You see this? Cotton Eye Joe did not claim he's charging people $100,000 a show. They said that's the deal that was made. Notice he didn't deny that. He deflects by mentioning other shows and free shows irrelevant. This is a Reddit man. This is how they avoid the truth. So Cotton Eye Joe wrote, it's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for the customers of the world's famous Cotton Eye Joe. Cotton Joe, or famous Cotton Joe, I don't know. Most times we say a show has been canceled due to circumstances beyond our control. Well, we are canceling the Oliver Anthony show under our full control. All refunds will be made in the next few business days for your original form of payment. The Northman of Richmond contracted to play a Cotton Eye Joe for $120,000 for 60 minutes. After the math of knowing we only hold approximately 1,500 people, paying the ticket website their fee to sell the tickets, paying the taxman, opening the Joe on a closed night, we set the ticket price to break even and to bring our customers a show that we thought would be fun. Well, let's get off the cross, Cotton Eye Joe. I'm sure you were going to make plenty of money selling beer to those 1,500 people. 1,500 people all spending another, $50 on beer is not nothing. Cotton Eye Joe stood to make plenty of money. I don't exactly buy that they're the victim in all this. To our talent agency and promoter friends that follow us, be careful booking the Northman of Richmond. My guess is the truth is he did get contracted for $120,000 and he didn't want that getting out. I don't think it matters. But the people have turned on him so quickly. Cernovich, Patriot J, never seen a guy burn his own flame out so quickly. All you got to be is honest, man. That's really it. People don't care if you make mistakes, but they should. I'm assuming that they signed something, that the deal was in place. The venue, if you can only fit, if the price was $120,000, that's the price of the ticket. It would be $100 a head. So I think I'm hoping and just praying and looking at hopefully this guy, I truly believe that he just is new to the business and he hired his buddy to try to book it. And his buddy, took the money and was probably he's probably just agreed to it. And then, that was it. He said he never even saw it. So, I don't know. I think this is a nothing burger, and I think a lot of this is why the right loses like the culture war so often. He seems like a regular dude. He seems like he's probably a Trump supporter, and $120,000 isn't that big of a deal. And people are freaking out about it. Like, I mean, yes, it's a ton of money, but you're talking about a guy that's like super duper famous. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, he can make all this money. He could charge $40 a seat. He just needs a bigger venue. That's all. He just needs a little, I'm not trying to cancel this guy. I don't know the pot stirring, all this stuff. I don't know. I think, he elaborates too.
All right. So, I was a little pissed off, and I made that. I was a little pissed off. I was more than a little pissed off. I about ran us off the road when I saw that Facebook post, and so I pulled over. Joey and I were driving back from Maryland today, and so anyway, we've had an opportunity to sit in the car together for a couple hours after that and have a good long talk about where this needs to go moving forward. Joey and I met at an open mic in Prince George, Virginia, about 3 weeks before I blew up. Our first time on stage together was at Currituck, the show that Jamie Johnson showed up at. And so, this is all very new for both of us. I mean, he's been gigging for years. I had never gigged. I was always just playing open mics. So now that we're here, it's like everybody's been telling us that we need to book these big shows and we've got to get all this stuff and we got to hire staff to do all this crap and it's going to cost X amount of money. And it's like, we end up just kind of getting stuck. It's just like I feel like I'm getting cornered doing stuff that I don't want to do in the first place. And I'm very adamant about $25 to $40 ticket prices. I think even 40 is a little bit high. So Joey and I have had some time in the car to talk. And basically what we've decided to do is we're going to keep ticket prices moving forward. Now, we do have a few more shows booked now.
I think that this is, his buddy was probably like, $120K, this is awesome. And he didn't do the math. I think that it's a huge nothing burger after some more consideration. Like, I think that people are looking at that number and thinking he's a grifter. I just don't disagree. I don't agree with that. And I don't agree with trying to make this guy the, political, your political hero. He's just a musician that most people would probably agree with more than not. But I don't know. I mean, people are always suspect. I understand that. But this one seems a little odd to me. I think he's probably just making mistakes because he's new to it all. But maybe I'm just too bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Let me know what you think in the chat and the comments. I genuinely think that, I genuinely think that there's an element of jealousy there. I think that people see a number like 120,000 and they think, oh my God, he's a grifter. It was all about the money. See, 120,000. Nobody would have said a damn thing about it if he sold 5,000 seats for $25 each, and he kept the money, right? That would have been 120K. I mean, I think there's just this is why the right loses this stuff. This guy would have been happy going along and letting the right share his music, and his message is still good. And now everyone, all these people are turning on him. I don't know. I need to let's see. I need to make a tweet. Everyone turning on Oliver Anthony is cringe. Dude's just learning as he goes and not everything everywhere is an op. Yeah, I don't know. I think even I kind of got sucked into it a little bit, and I just don't. It doesn't even. I'm gonna even delete my tweet about it contributing to it. I don't know. Yeah, Echo, right. And the exact reason why the right loses. Right. Oliver Anthony demonizing the venue is cringe. Yeah. It's possible. It's possible that he just doesn't understand the business of it. I played in bands. from when I was 15 till I was in my 20s, and there was like very, very, very few. Like, there's Gene Simmons who understands economics and the business, but most musicians don't understand anything about it, even the most basic shit. $120 ticket for a very what would you call it, intimate show, like a very intimate show of just 1,500 people, is a totally normal price to charge. You know what I mean? Totally normal. I missed some Rumble rants. Surfer Dude for 25. I think that's the biggest super chat I might have ever gotten. Pump the Trump at Mega Trumpeth. Uh-oh. Is that a crypto thing? DeYoung says, I'm surprised he wasn't appointed to a position in the Biden administration. Yeah, right. That's the masturbating priest or whatever. It's weird. Wait, Tim finally said something good about Rumble when he started making less on YouTube. He finally did. I understand. Tim's logic from what I understand, for not like dual streaming onto Rumble, which I think he 100% should be doing. His logic for that is that it will lower his total viewer count on YouTube and make his live stream less popular. Like, I think I think he I understand why he does it. I wish he didn't, but he might be right. He might be right about it. I mean, ever since I've been doing see all these people like Top Lobster, he follows me. Dude, calling him a fraud. He's not a fraud. Yeah, I don't know. I don't buy it. What about the $100 you got while in Wisconsin for the Republican debate? Oh yeah, someone did super chat $100. Who was that? That was the biggest one. Yep. Yeah, I think it's. I mean, I personally think it's about the money, but I don't know. I don't know. Tim makes plenty of money with his membership stuff, so there could be something to it. I can say that since I've been doing more on Rumble, my stuff on YouTube is doing as well, and it's not doing as well, and it's not that people are all like have moved over here. My views on Rumble are getting better, but it's my views are down like on average video 20,000-30,000. It's not up by the same amount on Rumble, so there's some shenanigans going on. Oh, it was the Rumble owner? Chris did that? Yeah. I don't have any issue at all with the guy making the $120,000 or whatever. Oh, Ricky, I remember you. You're not forgotten. Sorry. Yeah, that's anyway, let's talk about another story. Who wants to talk about brain dead Gen Z women? I think it's an excellent it's an excellent topic. These articles that they're coming out now that say millennial and Gen Z women don't want to date men who listen to Joe Rogan. Says who?
Right.
Says who? Like, this is the dumbest, like, dumb propagandas ever. I think that it's just another one of those funny things too. Like women are so hypocritical when they talk about the type of men that they want. You know, often I forget there was like a study of like how many men would date. You know, the circle of, you know, even very unattractive women still wouldn't date traditionally unattractive men on these like dating apps. They are like short men and all this kind of stuff. So I don't really care if they care of that someone listens to Joe Rogan or not. But let's look at this study because it's pretty funny. And we're going to get into it after a super quick word from this video sponsor, which you're not going to have to hear. I think it's AH Publishing. If you're a man who listens to Joe Rogan regularly, that might explain why you can't find a date. Change Research surveyed a whole 1,000 people. A whole 1,000 people. This is definitely a representative sample. Registered voters, by the way, between 18 and 34, and learned that 55% of women find it a turnoff if their partner listens to Joe Rogan Experience. It's not even if 55%. That's like saying, you know, like, okay, well, they're probably all fat and smelly, so who cares? Millennial and Gen Z women apparently associate Rogan listeners with MAGA Republicans. In other words, they think a pot-smoking Bernie Sanders voter is Make America Great Again. What? So these women who said this are just they're self-telling on themselves for being stupid. That's what it sounds like to me, right? Young women who take their cues from TikTok don't understand Joe Rogan, and they abhor Donald Trump. Over 3/4, 76% of women said they would not date someone who supports Trump. Here are the full surveys. Let's take a look. Oh, God. 3/4 of women say they won't date a Trump supporter. Cool. They're probably all smelly, too. They probably are greasy. They probably have lower back hair. And they probably have an ugly haircut. That's my guess. And they're probably poor. So, you know, I probably wouldn't date 75% of women. That number's probably even higher as you get older and you get more defined in what you like. So women says they identify as a MAGA Republican. 76% of women said they wouldn't date them. Oh yeah, they definitely don't want a Republican with a good head on their shoulders and a good strong ideology on finances and things of that nature. They have no hobbies. 66% of women say that's actually the same for men and women. I'll tell you what, dating somebody with no hobbies is an actual red flag for me, because then you become their hobby, and life is very frustrating when you are responsible for 100% of someone's entertainment. Trust me, I know. Like, girls who don't have other girlfriends is a red flag for me, because it's like, okay, well, that means every single time this woman wants entertainment, I'm going to have to be the one that does it. I'm not saying that you're not going to want to, but I'm going to say that there's going to be sometimes you wouldn't mind a little alone time when she goes out with the girls, and you can stay home and, eat an entire frozen pizza, resting it on your belly while playing Madden football or Call of Duty or something. They say all lives matter. 60% of women say that's a turnoff. They say there are only two genders, 60%. So this is basically the divide of like conservatives and liberals. They identify as a communist, 55%. This tells you everything. And men say 64%. So 55% of women would rather date a communist than a MAGA Republican at 76. A significant difference. They would rather date a commie. They refuse to see the Barbie movie, 53%. Again, so 50% of these women are just like libtards. I mean, like literal. Who gives a crap if your partner doesn't want to see a stupid movie? And really, most young people are liberal. They don't care about politics. Only 50% of women said that they wouldn't date somebody if they didn't care about politics. Based men, only 29%. By the way, side note, having a wife that doesn't care about politics and then just is like actually based and awesome, and I love it. I love it because every time voting comes around, she says, who should we vote for? And I say, this is who we should vote for. And then she goes to the poll with me. And, I get 2 votes. If they own a weapon, that only turns off 27% of women. They watch reality dating shows. They talk about politics frequently. So they want them to know about politics, but they don't want them to talk about it. I think this one's a based men here. They are into astrology. 20% of women say that's a turnoff. 41% of men say it is. I mean, like, it's wild. Women really want you to go see the Barbie movie. The female respondents obviously lean left, in part because of the age and demographics. There aren't too many young conservative women. One could argue that it's fortunate, given a recent finding that attractive women are more likely to be right-wing. Nonetheless, if you want to date a liberal woman, we don't recommend it. The poll says you should adapt the following habits. Find a new podcast, never say all lives matter, frequently say Black Lives Matter, pretend you have a lot of hobbies, and pretend there are more than 2 genders. Oh yeah, that was it. Say there's only 2 genders. It turns off 58% of women. Like, here's a green flags in a partner. They read. Okay, most people like that. So actually what you should do is probably buy a bunch of books and at least pretend you read them. And then a big turn on for women is researching for the best deals and rates before buying. They say Black Lives Matter. They look better in person. They take candid pictures of you. What? That's creepy. But here's what's interesting. They identify as liberal. That's only a green flag to 39%, even though 76% said that it's a turn off if they're a Republican. They are not on social media. 27% for women, 44% for men. It should be 100%. Men, fellas, if you meet a girl and she's not on social media, that's like a +2 on a 1 to 10 scale bonus. They send green texts. I don't know what that means. What's a green text? We are skeptical that young men care that much that a woman likes to read, or that 18% of men want a woman who prefers cow milk. But the results are the results. Ultimately, neither young men nor women have much confidence in themselves. The survey found most respondents are not confident they will ever be able to stop living paycheck to paycheck, go on vacation once a year, buy whatever they want at a grocery store, afford nice clothes, or have a reliable car. We have produced a generation of anxiety, anti-Roganism, and believers of gender theory. Not our best work. Well, maybe they... so pickup artists have demonstrated this indisputably. There's an enormous chasm between what women say they want and what they actually want. Also, this was a New York Post survey, so consider the sample population. Enjoy your cats, city ladies. I mean, yeah, I think that is a valid point. They think that my dog's snoring. They think that Jeremy's a green texter. I don't know what a green text is. It's sad. These women are all saying this is what they want. And there's a difference between hooking up with people like people do on apps and people that they actually date. Women love to say that they want a man who's willing to stay at home and be sensitive and cry at movies and go see their like femi Barbie movies and stuff like that. That's not really what they want. Women want to feel safe and protected. Most of them. That doesn't mean that they aren't independent. It doesn't mean that they don't want to go out and work. It doesn't mean, but they want to feel safe and protected. I guarantee you, they're not going to give a damn about how many books you've read when they feel safe walking next to you in a dark parking lot. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of these are like, people answer this because they want to sound smart. It's so weird. I don't even understand millennial or Gen Z women. I guess, I don't know. I'm a millennial technically. So I assume their positions will change. And most of these people who say, nah, I don't want people who listen to Joe Rogan. I guarantee you they're hooking up with dudes that listen to Joe Rogan all the time. Green text are Android users for those using iPhones. Oh. Dude, I mean, you can buy whatever phones you want, but iPhones are not. iPhones blow. they're not the best quality. King of Biltong. Oh, hey, I'm glad to catch a tail end of your show. Good afternoon from Anton's in Roanoke, Texas. Free shipping on your Biltong when using the code THEQ on land@biltong.com and Anton USA. Have a great day. Yeah, everyone go check that out. It's good stuff. Yeah, a couple of drinks in her, she don't care. Yeah, I guarantee you all those gym bros, all those, everyone's always talking about all those gym bros that aren't totally slaying pussy on the weekends. The gym bros that listen to Joe Rogan, that watch MMA. It's yeah, I'm sure they're totally going, sleeping alone every night. You just crossed the line. I just saying, you iPhone users, man, they got you on that treadmill where you feel like you got to buy a new phone for every incremental upgrade. Although, Samsung is not much better either. You used to be able to upgrade your phones and all. They started taking all that stuff away.
My belief is that we should be centering the voices and experiences of the most marginalized people and communities at all times. So when I think about what fat liberation looks like to me, it looks like centering the voices and the experiences of those who live in and who maneuver through spaces and institutions in a fat body. It looks like making accessible spaces and having conversations that are aware of the fact that people have different bodies and that they are interacting with space and people and institutions and communities in a different way. Fat liberation looks like fully embracing those differences and having those conversations instead of shying away from them. To learn more about fat liberation and a campaign for size freedom that doesn't support it, visit inDOCtriNATION/size freedom. Tap in, join the campaign, support the campaign. This is important and we should all be talking about it.
That's right. Fat liberation is here. Actually, I would say in terms of what is the biggest red flag for me, I would agree that if they use TikTok. Now, I will say if they just use it to watch videos, that's less of a red flag. But if they make them, that is, I don't know. Like, I don't know about all that. You know what's wild is doesn't it seem like, have you seen any a content drought like this? Like there's nothing to talk about. It's actually making me depressed. Like work has never felt more like work because there's like no news. It's been a rough month. Like I don't know. It's so weird. Is it just me? Am I missing the good topics? Like, I've never felt more out of sync. Is it just that there's nothing interesting going on, or that's my biggest concern, is that I'm missing stuff that people actually want to be watching. But I think that I'm at a bit of a crossroads now. I actually must admit that the Hollywood strike has definitely hurt my channel. It's like it definitely has. Like I don't have all the same shows to dunk on. I don't have a lot of the material that I once had. Cam says feeling underappreciated. No, I appreciate you, Jack Decker. Any promos today? Well, Coffee Brand Coffee's under attack is still good. 15% off site-wide. Jack Decker says, even though allergic to coffee and am atheist, I'm buying a monthly subscription to Coffee Brand Coffee for my coffee-loving brother for you, sponsoring Christian Gamer against a woke mob. Hey, thank you, Jack. I appreciate that. And by the way, we also sell 12 different organic teas if you like tea, or cocos and stuff like that. King of Biltong says, biltong is naturally cured in air-dried meat, never cooked or smoked. Anton's Biltong uses no preservatives, therefore healthier compared to jerkies, your go-to snack for keto or carnivore diets. King of Biltong.
So I'm probably going to be getting arrested over here with absolute defiance. I'm sorry about that. I had to fix the stream. Please fix the stream. Please hit that like, get the word out, share the stream. I am going to be challenging this court administrative order with absolute defiance. He should be here in just a few minutes. He's going to be challenging it with me. They have an administrative order stating that we cannot record in the lobbies of the police of the courthouse. Administrative order stating that we cannot record in the lobbies of the police of the courthouse, and we are challenging that. Make sure that you look in the description. All links are included in there to redress your government. This is going to be the third arrest possibly in Hillsborough in the last month. I already have 2 pending cases. I was here to file motions. They are refusing to take my paperwork. They're refusing to service me and telling me I can't record. I'm sorry about the stream. Just let everybody know that I am challenging their administrative order at this point. They're trying to see if I did fail to leave. They're saying that I failed to leave when I was told to leave while recording when the police came. I told them that I did step outside. I was obviously outside here when they arrived, so they can't say I wasn't listening to their directives inside. There's not much I can do about the stream. Smash that like, guys, on your way in or out. I appreciate it. I wait on Absolute Defiance right now. Make sure you go check him out. He got arrested the other day in the federal courthouse in Concord, New Hampshire the other day for exactly what I'm doing right now in the lobby at the federal court. I don't have great service out here. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say. I could try to fix. Give me 1 second, guys. Hopefully that's better.
See, refresh it once.
All right, guys. Hopefully that's a little bit better. I try to help. The service out here is horrible. We have 10 minutes until he's here, until they close. I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for Absolute Defiance to take this with me. The police have been here for over an hour, at least 45 minutes to 50 minutes. Better now? All right, great. So yeah, long story short, I do have 2 cases here already pending. Go look on my live stream on the channel. You'll see the last 2 lives I did were over at the Hillsborough Police Department for my subscribers. Calling the police department, as we all know, I already won that case over in Charlestown, Claremont. Oh, I'm getting pinched today. That's the whole point. They have already been given the order from. They've already been given the order from the Lieutenant McSweeney. So I appreciate that. Yeah, no, I'm definitely back. Let's get this shared out there. Share it on your Facebook, whatever account you guys have. Let people know this is going on. We are presumably the only ones at this point with this new administrative order that a judge has never signed this order. A clerk of court of the Supreme Court has signed this order, stating that we cannot record in this courthouse. I am also under the media with the paperwork form that I signed, so I am considered media. And I'm also in here doing motions regarding my cases. There are only a few minutes left. Hopefully he gets here today. I know he's probably watching. If not, I think so, Lou. I mean, all of it's in the description. You might want to get all that now and gather it and let people know, you know, that they do have a right to petition the courthouse. They do have a right to complain and hold their government accountable. You know, if people call the police department, as we all know, I can't force anybody's hand to do so. But we all know we have a right to do this. We have a right to petition our government, make phone calls, emails, and everything else. So, I mean, if you guys feel the need that you need to do that today, you know, like I said, I can't force your hand. It's not something that I've already challenged this already before. I've won. It's going to be challenged again over here for my other case. And yeah. So we have a few minutes. I do have my property inside. I told them to not touch my property until I'm ready to grab it and leave. I really hope that he's here today. I really hope he's coming right now. We only have a few minutes until they close the doors, and then we'll go from there. So you got Hillsborough Police Department right here. And if you want, you can go to my channel at some point and look up the video I did over in Hillsborough, New Hampshire. Make sure you go check that out. Officer Burrows is actually here today, and she said she doesn't care. She couldn't care less, she said, about the video that she's on from about 2 or 3 years ago. So you can check that out too.
Hey Alexa, what time is it?
The time is 11:16 p.m.
Hey Alexa, what's the weather?
Come on, man. I'm waiting on backup right now. I'm waiting on absolute defiance. Like I said, he got arrested the other day over at the federal court. They handed him a citation. They're actually going to arrest me today.
Hey Alexa, is Joe Biden
along with absolute defiance. So thank you, Lou. Appreciate that.
Hey Alexa, what's the weather?
He's coming all the way from Manchester, which is about a 40-minute ride. I called him at about 3:05. He should be here any minute, hopefully.
Is Joe Biden corrupt?
And we're going to challenge this hopefully today. If not, trespassing. So the charge would be trespassing.
What time is it?
Going against a court administrative order for recording in the public accessible areas of the court. That would be the charge.
Oh.
Make sure you hit that like on your way in or out. I appreciate it. We're going to get this going hopefully here in a minute. Exactly. Policy doesn't trump the Constitution. And a judge never signed that order. A clerk of court of the Supreme Court did, Timothy. So it holds no ground. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate that. Possibly, maybe one day I will. Dude. Absolute, man. If you're not, I mean, you got to get here, brother. Hey, what about the
train crash in where is this at?
Come on, bro.
Nebraska.
So I was given permission from the judge to record inside of the lobby at one point a couple weeks ago. I have not yet put that video out. I am going to be putting out my video for my arrest on the, I think on the beginning of next week. Keep an eye out for that. If I don't challenge this today, hopefully, you know, I definitely will be challenging this fairly soon. We are very crunched for time right now, and he's still not here. They close at 4. Interesting. Thank you, Lee. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Yep. I know, Super. I know. Crunch for time. I called him at the last minute. He said he's leaving, and he should be here. I told you guys not to touch my property.
Well, we're closing, so it was either that or it was going to be left overnight.
Well,
I'd rather you have it back than have it be stuck here all night.
Interesting. So you close now.
It's 4 o'clock.
Interesting.
Have a good day.
All right. I will be back tomorrow to take that fucking arrest. You know that, right? I'll wait for your clerks to come out, and I'll get all their license plates and VIN numbers. All right. Well, be ready for tomorrow because I'm coming back. It's not even 4 o'clock yet. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm taking this fucking arrest, so I don't care.
I do understand what you're trying to do. So
you guys have an oath you gotta uphold, and you're not doing it. So you guys have absolutely zero respect for me at this point, and nobody else either. I mean, you took an oath to uphold the Constitution and my rights, and you guys are threatening by threatening me with an arrest. Yeah, 100%. Taking my freedom and liberties. Yeah, 100%. Not upholding your oath. 100%. Yeah. Yeah, seriously, I have a grudge against every single one of you in that department at this point, especially the prosecutor. 100%. I mean, if you think being professional is upholding your oath, not threatening me with an arrest, being in a public building with the administrative order not even being signed by a judge, it's not even a law. Come on, man.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Let's discuss this.
Well, I mean, if you guys want to take this to court, we can take it to court. It's going to go to a higher court because it's going to be a conflict of interest, to be honest. I mean, what am I going to go here?
Why would it be a conflict?
Because I'm getting arrested for trespassing in the same building I'm being trespassed from. So if I get trespassed from here, how am I supposed to go to court? Think about that logic.
So
think about it.
So just because you are arrested for trespassing at a particular time,
That means you cannot go to that.
that's incorrect. Unless there is an additional notice that you are not to ever come back here.
Well, that's what a
That-
trespass is.
no,
The criminal trespassing states you've been trespassed from that property.
No, it means when at that time you were trespassing because at that time you were given a lawful order to leave, and you refused to follow that.
I understand that.
However, that doesn't, unless you are served or told that you are not allowed back at that particular place again.
So a bail condition would probably state that I am allowed to come back in. It's just not to record, I'm assuming.
I
I'm
don't
just
know.
assuming.
That's up to the bail commissioner,
Yeah,
not us.
well,
So
they took-
we don't set bail.
Too late, bro. It's too late. I guess so. Yeah, I know.
Do about it, bro.
The lieutenant
I'm
already.
not trying to be an asshole, but like this court order,
the Supreme Court order is signed by the clerk.
Thanks.
You know the story behind this beard?
No.
Yeah, I was held in solitary for 2.5 years for refusing to shave my beard.
What?
on religious grounds here in New Hampshire, and I sued pro se in federal court, and I won.
They literally just closed the court like 2 minutes ago.
It's all right. I know, bro.
I know, dude.
I did what I could.
I know.
But we can totally come back tomorrow. And
I love Absolute Defiance. He's awesome.
It's trespassing.
The clerk of yeah.
That's what the charge.
Who's
Lieutenant
trespassing?
McSweeney.
You guys are trespassing us, or they're trespassing?
No, the crime would be trespassing. That's what he told me.
Who's the complainant? And that's what I'm saying.
The bailiff.
The bailiff is trespassing us from a public building, and so once we're trespassed, like we said before, how are we supposed to come back to court?
I just asked this.
So I just explained. Oh, they'll make an exception.
Yeah.
No, I just explained to Mr. Man. So I think there was some confusion. If you get arrested for trespassing from a particular place, here, there, anywhere, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're banned from there ever again, unless you're given notice that you are not to go back there. What's the reason for being trespassed?
Are you responding to this call?
No, that's my question. Checking on us. So
There's no call right now. Did you already clear it? He's still recording?
You see how it says
I'm just asking.
Actually, it says you shall
Can I have your name, badge number?
Rule 19 says
Glant?
shall be allowed to film
You got a badge
all
number?
Supreme Court stuff. It's not a
454.
provision.
You got a K9 in there? It's quiet.
It's a notice.
Well, I don't know if he's in there.
Notice that you're gonna
Is it? It's quiet.
They cannot deny it if you
A lot of them go crazy when like people are too close. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's a black lab.
Is it? What's his name?
I don't know if you see. I go.
Oh, it's on there. Oh, Dice. Nice. All right.
Say trial.
Impact
and
upon
I'll
the
film that. Nobody's gonna
Yeah.
stop you. Dude. So, you know what I mean?
It's nice.
From what I understand.
He's tamed.
Yeah. I'm not gonna go Jeff from
Mhm.
market, you know.
Jeez, I couldn't deal with that.
What are you up to?
So then why are we not allowed to?
We're here to
Yeah,
challenge
that's,
the
that's,
court administrative
that's
order.
too late. The office,
And,
the office closes at 5, so it's
It's
gonna take an
unconstitutional.
hour and a half.
We have a right to challenge it. And the only way to do that is either one, get arrested,
When would be a good
or
time?
two,
on
get
Monday?
cited. It's the only way.
The explanation as to why the judge
No
is
judge on
in the law.
It's not the judge. It's the
We
court
start at 1
administrative
p.m.
order. It's not even signed by a judge.
3:30.
The clerk
Yeah,
over
I
the
guess
Supreme
we
Court
could
signed it.
30.
Not even.
The latest we can do it. And I understand you have things going on too, but it's
Yeah,
just
right.
unfortunately the way the
Can I read it?
Yeah, you could have it. I have
scheduling is with
copies.
this.
But there's additional
space that
rules
we
for
run
circuit,
in the
family,
client's
probate, all
building.
that too. So there's all the rules
checking
regarding
me out here
those.
at 5.
That's the Supreme Court order. But if you look at the last page, it's not even signed by a judge.
Still gives
It's unconstitutional. It's a public building.
Well, some of it you can do. You can at least do the initial.
Yeah, I have.
electronic
I'm already.
application portion on your phone.
Yeah.
And just
Yeah.
I'll send you a link to that.
I already have that with the AOC, administration of the courts. It's a one-day
All right, completely
recording form, then
understand.
there's
I completely
immediate.
understand.
And I'm already
So,
signed up
and
with
that'll
it.
speed things up for Monday.
That's yeah.
So I'll send you that link. This number is good to send it to. Okay, I'll send you that link. Just text me back once it's done, or if you have any issues, and I'll see what I can do to help you. Okay.
But they're saying that if I continue recording in there, even after being told to leave, if I'm recording, I'm going to be arrested for trespassing. And in order to bring that to legislation and get rid of that order, you either have to get arrested or you got to get cited. Yeah, I mean, you know.
So obviously.
So I'm not like being an ass in there. I'm not like being disorderly and stuff. I'm just challenging the authority of it. That's all.
You're right to do that,
Of course it is.
I think that's going to be a bad case.
And you know what the crazy thing is that there's nobody even in there.
I think the concern is that there's kids in there. There's people applying for protection.
There's
orders.
nobody in there right now.
Right now, yeah.
No, there was nobody in there for the last hour.
No, I just mean like on a general note, like there could be people who are
But there's
applying
room.
for petitions of orders of protection. There's juveniles. There's domestic violence victims.
How would I know that by them just being there? I have a right to record in public.
Right, but I think victims don't. They have the right to not be filmed and put on
No, they
YouTube.
don't.
But they're,
No.
Yeah, that's what I believe the judge's concern is.
Like
Right.
we turn off our cameras when we're
Yeah, but you have policies and procedures. The law states that I can record anybody I see in public, with or without their permission.
Yeah, I think the Supreme Court's saying that each
Well,
Supreme Court
and I have
judge has
nothing
their-
wrong with them trying to create that
has the
privacy.
ability to make their own rulings in their own court.
But they have to. It doesn't say anything about that in that order either. That's what I'm trying to tell you is it's not even specified about why they're trying to do this. They're just saying you can't do it and that's it. And nobody in New Hampshire has challenged this, and no police officers has ever arrested anybody on this, ever, in New Hampshire. That's why they made a new administrative order.
Yeah.
Because somebody did test it back then, the case got dismissed. They made a new order. That order is from like 2 years ago, November. Yeah, I think it's like November something of like 21.
Yeah, November 16th, 21.
Yeah. So they made that new order because people did challenge it and it got dismissed. And now they made a new one. But it doesn't specify anything about why we can't. Like you were,
That's what I'm not sure.
you're
I'm not so sure they
assuming,
need to.
you're assuming, just like a lot of other people are assuming, the fact that it's because of privacy issues. But we can't assume that if it's not in there. That's not what they're saying.
It's a safe assumption. Like, right, I haven't spoken to.
It's a safe assumption, but
I
also,
haven't spoken to the judge personally,
but
it's a safe
the
assumption.
judge already gave me permission to record in the lobby, along with like 8 other people last week.
In the lobby.
Yeah,
Or
the lobby, the lobby. Yeah, it's on record.
Yeah,
She said you can record over there, but you can't record like over at the clerk's desk and so forth and so on. But that's like restricting our movement. You can't do that. You can record here, but you can't record here. Like, come on. That's like saying I can't record here, but I can record over there. Like, it's all public, man. You know?
So, well, I mean, think about our building. You can't go past certain areas.
That's a restricted area. Of course.
It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah,
right?
I can't go into, say, you know, the back of the clerk's office and like behind the judge's chambers. That's all restricted. You know what I mean? Restricted access.
Right.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, that's common sense.
But our building is a public building. It's a public police.
I can go in the lobby.
You can go lobby,
Yeah.
but you can't go around back.
Of course not. There's signs.
Right.
Yeah, I know that.
So,
But
but
it,
obviously know that.
yeah, I mean, if I seen it, it doesn't. Nothing's stopping me from challenging it. If I thought it was unconstitutional, is it? I mean, I'm not going to push that one. You know what I mean? It's a restricted area.
Right. That's right.
But like something like this, I'm willing to challenge because it's unconstitutional. 100%. I believe it's a lot of people think it's unconstitutional. I believe it, and nobody's willing to challenge it, and that's why we're doing this today.
So this is from the New Hampshire Supreme Court.
Let me tell you this.
You know, challenge to the U.S. Supreme Court.
It's been done about 18 times with him.
Oh yeah.
The state police were called. You know what they said? We're not getting involved.
The state, yeah.
Do you know how many courts or police departments have said we're not getting involved with this? They don't. They don't want to get involved, and for some reason, Hillsborough PD wants to get involved. Go look at I know you guys are watching my YouTube channel. Go look at the Milford courthouse that I did. Seriously, Google it. Whatever you have to do. Look at Milford. Contact them if you need to. The captain, a master patrolman, and a sergeant all told the bailiff, it's a public building. Let him in. They're not enforcing it. I'm just telling you.
They're not letting
With
you in.
recording, though. They said that you can record.
Well, my understanding of that is that they said each individual court has the ability to make their own kind of rules within each court. So
It has to be constitutional.
In Milford, they are allowing all.
No, it's all under the same rules.
Right, but I think maybe Milford's allowing all recording, and our judge doesn't want that. So that's my understanding.
No, the police department did not enforce any crime for me recording in there, and specifically
Because
told
the judge may not have made it.
No.
They said we don't want that.
no, he told him, the bailiff, who told him, I don't want him in here recording, he can't come in here and record. He said, we're not getting involved. He's allowed to go in there and record. We're not going to arrest him. That's in Milford.
Well, we've arrested you for.
It's closed. I was here, I was waiting for him, then I was going to go in and record. And I'm going to challenge this. I'm coming back.
If you weren't arrested because your friend was late, that's
Yeah. I'm about to upload that to my.
Yeah.
Thanks for saving us that.
Well, no, it's going to happen. I'm doing it. He's doing it. And we're going to get more people to do it. So now it just gives us more time.
But why do you need 30 cases when one can make your case if you're so sure of it? Like, why do you need a whole bunch of others for your case if you're so sure of it?
It sets more of a precedent.
Well, all it needs is one case to figure it out, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but when there's 3 and then it's unconstitutional, it's a what is it called? When there's 2 or more parties in a lawsuit, it makes it a bigger case. You know what I mean? I can't even think of the word. I can't even think of the word.
I know what you're talking about.
But yeah, when there's like 2 more parties, when there's more than one party in a case that's been dismissed, or if there's more than one party in a case that's been dismissed or found not guilty on an unconstitutional law, then you file lawsuits. It's a bigger, and that's
They're telling him in chat
that's
he's
what we're
just not
planning on
standing.
doing. And if you guys,
Mark Manson and his friends versus the United States of America, US Supreme Court.
he just got arrested at the federal court the other day in the lobby. Yeah, and with the state rep.
By the federal protective police over there.
Yep, he got a citation.
Yeah.
We're gonna get arrested? I mean, come on. And it was disobeying a direct order of a court order. That's a direct order of a court order. That's what he got cited for at the federal court.
Right. Also, federal laws are different.
Yeah, they have CFRs. See, but the difference is that they have a CFR, and which is a federal code, which governs that order. right? But in that lobby, it literally says public forums in the lobby. So what are they thinking? You know what I mean?
I love the old,
He's
kids,
challenging
no
federal court. You think
victims,
he's not
blah,
going to
blah,
challenge
blah.
district?
Look, literally, you can stand outside the door and get the same people.
New Hampshire.
Motion denied. They're doing it anyways. It's crazy. And I'm like, he could just back out. So he, if he wanted to, he's like, "You're not going to do that, are you?" Basically, and he's like, "No, I'm not going to do that."
So now the guys that are in there now, because of what you did, are they allowed to have unlimited? Yeah.
How long has this been going on? How long have you been here?
I've been here since 3. Around 3, yeah. I waited for him because he wanted to challenge it with me. We brought, I don't know, like 8 people last time. Sure you heard of that. They waited till they closed. They didn't enforce anything. Why not then? Why now? It just did more research. I don't know.
I think we're just talking.
No, I'm saying in general, like obviously you guys got the order from the lieutenant, I'm assuming, right? Is what you told me to make an arrest if I continue recording.
The judge said that she didn't want recording in the main lobby area of the court.
Today.
Not today. Just she said it was sent out to us from that she had sent.
It was an email or?
I don't.
I gotta get that email though.
That's what we were told. The judge. That's what the judge wants to do. And according to that order, she can do that.
Yeah, I mean, if they're telling you to do something and you take the order, you don't have to. You know that, right? You have discretion. You don't have to take orders from above. If you believe it's unconstitutional, do you really have to? Like, you might get disciplined for it.
It's not mine. I don't know.
But nobody get disciplined for it.
It's not mine. I don't know.
But nobody's forcing you.
Order that's like blatantly unconstitutional against the law.
Do you have to? You don't have to. You know what I mean? You don't have to follow an order from somebody that gives you an order to do something. There's nothing, nobody putting anything to your head saying, hey, if you don't do this. Well, yeah. Yeah. Well,
it's just blatantly unconstitutional or against the law.
Well, why would you want to be in a department that orders you to do something that's unconstitutional? I wouldn't want it. Well, that's where we did.
I don't think I've been ordered to do anything.
Well, no, I mean, you weren't even dispatched yet. Yeah. You're just checking in with them, right?
Yeah. I haven't met you yet, so I figured I'd come say hi.
Oh. Yeah, I know. I know I did.
Yeah, leave me alone.
I mean, you get a lot of views on the videos.
It's not the point. You guys getting a lot of phone calls? See my bail conditions? That's unconstitutional.
That's terms of release, right?
You can't tell me. I can't. For one, you guys have to understand. I cannot forcibly control my people to do or not do something. You got to understand that first of all. That's it. No matter if I tell them to call or not to call, they're gonna do what they want. Yeah, 100%. We have a right to do that. We have a right to petition. We have a right to call and complain. People call non-emergency all the time. Hey, I don't like your conduct, or I like to file a complaint, or it's not a non-emergency line. Why is it tied into your 911 dispatch? Do you know I was arrested for this over in Charlestown, New Hampshire? Same thing?
You mentioned Charlestown 1,000 times, yeah.
Well, okay, well, I won that case. That's why.
Yeah.
For the same thing.
Well, like when people call 911, then it comes in through the phone to our PD.
Whose fault is that? It goes to non-emergency. They're tied in together.
But people like report actual emergencies on like the non-emergency line too.
Okay.
Like sometimes it's weird. People call 911 about like not necessarily a big emergency.
Yeah.
People call the PD line over like a dire emergency.
Well, you know what Charlestown did? After the case, I was found not guilty over there.
Yeah. You go at trial?
Yeah. Their lines were crossed. Okay. So if you call non-emergency, it's tied up as one line on 911. Right? Same thing I'm assuming with you guys. At this point. So how am I tying up emergency communications on a non-emergency line when I didn't even make the phone calls? It's just no logic there. And I didn't make the calls. I can call you. Are you telling me that I can't call non-emergency 50,000 times a day? I can't. Personally, I can't.
I think when it comes to this train of thought right here, we should save that for your trial.
Oh, I'm not worried about it. I already won.
Because like this, we're getting to the point where we're kind of now speaking about a case,
I'm talking about Charlestown though too.
know, but it's
So
also,
it's the same thing.
alluding to, in
I'm
reference
not
to
worried
your
about
case.
it. I'm not worried about it. Yes, I did tell everybody. Actually, if everybody wants to call or not call the Hillsborough, New Hampshire Police Department, they can or cannot do so. There you go. I mean, I can't force them to call. I can't. If they're going to do what they want. They're already posting your number. I didn't tell them to do that. Do you understand what I'm telling you? They are already posting your number at Hillsborough Police Department. I did not one time tell them to do that.
I haven't heard you, but I haven't
It doesn't matter if I do or not. They're going to do what they want. That's what I'm trying to tell you with this case. That's why I won over in Charlestown.
Yeah, I just don't want to get to the point where now we're speaking about your case.
I don't care about talking about my case. I'm not worried about it at all.
Yeah, well, I'll make all those arguments at the trial and see what happens,
You should probably watch the trial over in Charlestown to see, or Claremont, to see how that trial went for them, because it's not going to go good for you either. I know you're not. I get it. But that's what I'm trying to say, is that it's the same precedent. It's the same exact scenario, same exact situation, just a different department.
Sure.
And I won that, and I know damn well I'm going to win this. And that's why I have no problem doing it. I just did it. That's going against bail conditions, right? Telling people to call or not call. I mean, what? I mean, how can I tell them to call or not call? They're going to do what they want. At the end of the day, they're going to call or not call. No matter what I say, they don't have to listen to me. I'm not forcing their hand to do anything. Now, if I was telling them to do something like criminally, like threatening to you or something like that, that's a different story. Obviously, you know what I mean? If I'm telling people to cause harm or something like that to a certain individual online, that can be considered a crime. That's not what I did. That's definitely escalating the situation into something that could be dangerous, right? I agree with that. I would never do that. But to ask people or tell people to call a department to redress their grievances or petition their government, there's nothing illegal about that. That's why you have a non-emergency line for people to call. And they did. That's what they did.
Yeah, I just think our argument is made at the trial.
I did it once. I'll do it again.
Look at names.
And then I'll do it again when I
on Twitch
win that trial. I'll go back and I'll do the same exact thing. Well, I did it over in Charlestown. I went back and I told people, do not call. And they called. They're still getting phone calls over there 3 years later. So the calls ain't going to stop. And the calls are going to come in even more when I put my arrest video out. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're getting phone calls right now. I could almost guarantee you're probably getting phone calls right now, with or without me telling them.
Well, you just did.
Well, I told them either call or don't call. I can't force their hand. They're not going to listen. They're going to either listen to me or not listen to me. So. A badge doesn't grant extra rights or something like that. Yeah, it's shown.
I'm not curious.
Yeah, he wants to see a badge.
Oh yeah.
It says
Shiny badges don't grant extra rights.
Yeah.
Yeah, the feds loved it. They were
What's
like,
the
oh my God.
Yeah.
It says .net, but it's .org now.
Oh, yeah. All right. Sounds good. I think we're.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, we're gonna gather more people. We'll take the arrest. That's it.
Have a good one.
You too, man.
All right. Yeah. So yeah, I'd like to get.
Yeah, we'll make.
I'd like to get.
Yeah, we'll make some calls.
All right.
We'll
This is
make
done
some
with
calls.
this end stream.
I know.
She was in my Hillsborough. She was in my Hillsborough video.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Hey, sorry guys. I obviously it's just a broken record.
I know exactly what we need.
It's a broken record. It's talking to the wall. I get it. I understand. I try to
Educate.
Just
if you're not trying
educate
to
them.
educate, especially law enforcement, then you're really failing. If you're just trying to antagonize for no reason and you're not trying to get, like, what's your point? That's my thing,
Yeah.
right? Like,
So, guys, I apologize. I tried getting Absolute over here at the nick of time. Obviously, they closed the.
I was
the-
flying up here.
Yeah,
bro.
he was flying, man. I was hoping that he got here prior to them closing, but apparently not. And that's just the thing. I mean, we'll definitely challenge this another time. I apologize. We'll definitely challenge this another time. I apologize. I could not tell you if he was going to be here on time or not. He said that he was about 40 minutes away.
It is what it is.
Who knows? But yeah, I mean, we're gonna make some phone calls. We're gonna send out some information to people. to see if they want to challenge this with us. It'll be more than just me and him. Hopefully, very soon. This is not going to go away. We are going to challenge this at some point very soon. I was hoping that it was today. I apologize in advance.
Doesn't matter.
I did warn you guys it may or may not happen, but I can't really control that situation. I did call him a little bit too late.
Yeah, so I was like, I tried.
Yep. So
I couldn't even I was stuck behind people.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I figured. Yep. So, but guys, just in case you didn't know, if you look at it, the New Hampshire Circuit Court for Hillsborough is right next to a Subway and a liquor store. So you can go to the liquor store, get a sub, get a DUI, and go to court. I mean, hilarious, right? I mean, it's almost like it's meant to be. I thought that was funny when I came here. But the court is tiny, guys. I do have a lot more videos coming up. I am going to be putting up my arrest video. I did get discovery. I didn't get a couple. I did put in a couple motions for that discovery. They're failing to give me policies and procedures. So I put in a motion for discovery under that, along with a few other things. So again, guys, I'm sorry for the miscommunication on, we literally had 2 minutes. He just pulled up. They just closed. And that's going to be it for today, I guess. We will be challenging this once again. I think the court, I'm going to go out back real quick because I think they're going to be all leaving, dude.
I have a good idea.
And they're not going to like it very much when they leave. That's all their vehicles, I'm assuming.
You know me. Take the head right off of the snake. That's what I say.
Hey guys, if you want to go check out my girl's channel, it's over at Press's Lady. She's in the chat right now.
Written request form is available at the New Hampshire, and you're already on the New Hampshire State Court, so they added that. Looks like.
Oh yeah. Yeah, let's see if so they are willing to make an arrest. We do know that now. I think the last 2 or 3 times they bluffed, and now they're giving me lawful orders, telling me I can't record, that if I do, I have to leave. If I don't, I'll be arrested for trespassing. So I think that's their vehicles, I would assume. Yeah, who knows? They're probably wrapping everything up. Do you have and you don't have to state who, but do you have any people in mind that might?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna do a little research and see if
One guy, anyways. Everybody knows who he is.
Really.
If he's got, I don't know. Like that's the thing. People have to work. Like he works too.
Yeah.
He's down to do this shit, but like this is something that anybody can do. Any old granny. I mean, I might know quite a few people. But
well, we'll set something up and we'll do it at some point. But
I'm gonna go to the head of the snake again. That's been
Supreme Court?
That's you dropped that. This
Oh,
is
did
what
I?
Supreme Court. Yeah.
They haven't
Well, that's
anything.
the thing. That's the whole point. We're gonna go and we're gonna. Well, that's the thing. That's the whole point. We're gonna go and we're gonna file a restraining order on the courts, the lower courts.
You want to do that?
Yeah, that's my plan, and we're gonna do that to the feds too. I'm gonna file a restraining order on the feds so that I can get in there filming as well.
All right.
Kind of like how Duke did that with his thing, with the guns. James Freeman.
Hey, Dale,
they filed a restraining order or whatever.
Junior, thanks for the follow on Rumble.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not seeing
Yeah,
any
that's not a
Rumble
bad
chat
idea.
right
Yeah,
now.
we could look into that.
You know,
All right.
even if it doesn't, because it's a temporary, because it's this thing. How long does it last? Whatever.
Hey, I just want to let you guys know before you get head up. Check out Absolute Defiance. He's on YouTube, obviously. I've been doing a lot of court stuff with him. He's educated me on a lot of different things. He's challenged the Supreme Court with this rule already. The state police over there has yet to arrest him. They declined. Yeah.
What did they say? They declined to enforce it.
Yeah. So they're not enforcing the rule of the court over at the Supreme Court of New Hampshire, where it came from. So why are they trying to enforce it here is my question.
Right.
And that seems like a little bit of a conflict there, or maybe even discrimination.
We
or
told them it was causing all kinds of chaos down in these lower courts. Now that they're not doing, it's like we go in there and it's fine, but
you can go on the court website, John, at the Supreme Court rules.
Rule 19.
Yeah, Rule 19,
New Hampshire Supreme
1.4.
Court, Rule 19 and Rule 54.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, go to YouTube, go check out Absolute Defiance. He's a different kind of animal. You're gonna love him. I could only promise you that. He does do a little bit different. He doesn't really do audits, but he does have his own sense of way of doing things that get things done. So obviously, so that's why I hang out with him. I go do these type of things with him. You know, and he knows a little bit more about the court rules and so forth, so on. So, like I said, we're gonna be challenging this pretty soon. I'm sorry about today. You know, my intention was to get arrested, obviously, and challenge this order. And unfortunately, Absolute got tied up in traffic and didn't make it here on time. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a few phone calls, try to get a few more people here and challenge
Tomorrow,
it. And hopefully tomorrow, maybe the next, who knows.
Anybody else has time or not.
That's going to be it, guys. I really appreciate you being here. Again, I apologize for the inconvenience possibly of seeing me get arrested. I know a lot of my trolls probably came in here wanting to see that happen. They will. Hold tight, you know, hold on tight. It's coming. I hope you get the laugh of your lifetime. You deserve it. I really don't care. So until the next one, guys, I appreciate it. Preston H now, Absolute Defiance. Peace.
All right.
Sweet. All right. Let me get out of here. I'm going to close this out, and I got a quick thing I got to do for my other job. I'd probably go on inDOCtriNATION for the drive to dinner, too. Man, looks like my mustache is uneven. Just got a haircut again today, so maybe it's just them white hairs that make it look uneven. All right, let's see this. Let's play this on the way out. Fresh good. Here's the outro.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad. After her there ain't no coming back. Wanna take a run at that. I think she's feeling me, turn it up a few degrees. My imagination of her body gets the best of me. Oh gosh, she's such a tease, bitten lips, bruised knees. I'm addicted to her, need her touching me. Cause she got a bad little waist, and we tearing down this place. Off the liquor that we chase, got some egos to the face. Baby, I don't need no space. Coming closer for a taste, and I'll show you how I make everything just fade away. Cause she's like sex, drugs, cocaine, body so insane. Jealous of the clothing that she wears up on that tight frame. All game, no shame, baby came here to play. I feel like an addict cause she's sex, drugs, cocaine. Got a fine little body and her mind's kinda naughty. They say that once you taste it, you cannot replace it. She could get you high, all the dopamine inside triggers fast once she's naked. Her body's a creation. They say the devil made her for his entertainment, but even he couldn't learn how to contain it. Her high heels make a damn good statement. There is no replacement, a body by Satan. Cause she got a bad little waist, and we tearing down this place. Off the liquor that we chase, chase. Got some egos to the face, baby, I don't need no space. Coming closer for a taste, and I'll show you how I make everything just fade away. Cause she's like sex, drugs, cocaine,